Welcome to the Only Male Cruz show, the We On Your Head podcast. Discussing topics that make you say, how and where can we improve as a society? From a Black American's perspective. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Catch this live, be ready to speak. This is a call-in show. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Let's go to work. Welcome to the Only Male Cruz show, the podcast, the We On Your Head podcast. I am the Only Male Cruz. Listen, I don't know what y'all doing. Okay, I don't know what y'all doing today. I don't know what y'all doing right now. Got 0 people in both spots, Twitter Spaces and right here in these YouTube streets. But the show must go on. As you know, I've been doing this Dr. Claud Anderson PowerNomics book discussion. Today's episode really is entitled The Freedmen's Bank Forum 2023 edition. And the reason why is because there's some really disturbing video going on or going around of actually, what the forum pretty much discussed. And the bottom line is, Black people, Black Americans, we're an afterthought. We are not included in the game plan, okay? We're not included in the game plan, and we don't have any representatives. We don't have any representation. There are no advocates speaking up and speaking out for us on our behalf. And individuals who look like us, even they're not doing it. They're selecting, hand choosing 1 or 2 individuals that got the skin tone, and so they appear to be, one of us. When in fact, they're not. They're simply advancing the plan to erase and just, get us out the paint. That's what that is. That's what's going on. So let's get into some things, okay? I do want to refresh. If you've been listening for the previous episodes, I want to just refresh a couple of things that Dr. Claud Anderson has covered in his book. And let's see. First of all, starting with racial monopolies, we covered this last week, which basically Dr. Claud Anderson has stated that racial monopolies predetermine winners and losers and are considered a normal part of our political economic structure. Through these monopolies, white society maintains a lock on the essential elements of Black people's lives and makes Black people spectators in the democratic process, aka the Sunken Place, y'all. The racial monopolies discussed below are but a few of nearly invisible structures that marginalize and justify Black America's position as the nation's permanent minority loser. And, we're being sold as losers. We're being sold as inept, incompetent, unenergized. We're just being sold as everything that we are not. And unfortunately, and we discussed this last week about media, we have no true access or true control over the media. So guess what? We aren't even in a position to go out and effectively correct the erroneous information that's being spewed about us as a culture, as a ethnicity, as a race, as a people group. We don't got the juice. It is going to take Jesus Christ. That's my thoughts. So one other thing, one other point I want to refresh us on, and I'm going back into the book to do that, is Blackness is not just a skin color. It is more so an appropriate behavior pattern based upon a rational perspective, a perspective born out of a group's experiences and continuing dilemma. An erroneous perspective causes inappropriate behavior patterns. These behavior patterns de-empower rather than empower Black people. In a society based on white superiority, it is inappropriate behavior when black people participate in their own subordination and exploitation. It is inappropriate behavior when their actions support the established racial hierarchy and encourage dependency on white society. The more a minority group, especially a planned black minority, becomes dependent on the majority white society, the harder it is for the group members to differentiate who they are and behave in their own best interest. Their dependency distorts racial reality and causes many of them to live in a state of denial, tolerating and justifying why they are in an oppressed state. They are generally willing to accept their poor quality of life and avoid any form of competitiveness unless it is against members of their own group. Shout out to the governor. Hey, governor. Thank you. Thanks for pulling up. You know, you can request a mic if you're so inclined to, sir. You know, you're always welcome on the spot. So yeah, this is definitely the Freedmen's Bank Forum 2023 edition because um, let me. That's what we had at the forum. And you know, I try to stay out of this whole major conversation about the Freedmen's Bank and the reinstitution and the put some respect on our name aspect of the Freedmen's Bank, because I'm not an expert in that. I'm just going to be honest with you. But there are some experts out there. There are a group of people out there who know this front to back, head to toe, left to right. But this is just so egregious, the way in which this forum, which is supported by the government, this forum was put on. And then we have elected officials who are out there just basically saying, hey, it sucks to be y'all, while steadily propping up the advancement, and primarily in this forum, from what I saw, primarily propping up the advancement of the Latino culture and heritage. And this is a damn shame. And so here's the thing. When I was reading Dr. Claud Anderson's book, Chapter 2, Keys to Empowerment, that's one of the things he wrote about when this book was copywritten in 2001. And let me just see if I can run right to that. I'm going to get to the beginning of the chapter, but this part right here, I got to read it first because that's really what made me say, okay, this has got to be the Freedmen's Bank Forum edition. Now, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, Lord, help me find it right now. Yeah, good, Governor. Okay, I hope that's you request. Yeah, Governor, come on up here real quick and help me with this real quick. I appreciate you so much. How you doing, Governor? Can you hear? Oh, hey, Governor, how you doing?
Good. I'm good.
Good. Thank you for pulling up.
The key word in all this is one culture has truly assimilated into whiteness, and the other one hasn't.
Well, and they've allowed
That's what it is.
Yeah, and they've allowed that. And Dr. Claude Anderson also stated that in his Black Labor, White Wealth. They have allowed. They wouldn't allow Black Americans to assimilate. Okay, we've always been on the outs, but they've allowed other cultures to assimilate. And in his Black Labor, White Wealth, he also stated that the closer to a Caucasian skin tone, the more accepting the dominant society is to allow other cultures to assimilate. And I don't know, but I feel like there's some type of backdoor deal that's been cut with especially the folks from Mexico. I don't know if it's because they got El Chapo, or what's my man's name who's in maximum security in Colorado. I don't know if they cut a deal with him. And so they said, okay, look, we're going to lock you up and we're going to let everybody else come through. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but it's happening.
Yeah, it's outside resources. It's assimilation. I remember I was in Brother Muko's space the other night.
Yeah.
And I produced a document that was basically breaking down, the whitening of Latin America. So, you bring all that in the fact that, there's, in my opinion, there's only 3 races in the world.
What are those
There's
30?
only you have you have you know descendants from Africa, you have descendants from Asia, and you have descendants with that Caucasian look.
Mhm.
Those are the three. Everything else is an amalgamation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And you might be onto something there because I never even really kind of looked at it that way. And I do agree because I know if you take it back to biblical pieces, Job was I believe Job was Asian. And I'd have to pull the Bible out to get to it to support why I believe that's the case. But well, no, that's interesting. That's interesting. And if you have that document handy and you want to put it in the Jumbotron, you're certainly welcome to do so. I just want to get to this part here where Dr. Claud Anderson, it's in chapter 2, where Dr. Claud Anderson is talking about Spanish speaking people. Shout out to JV. Request a mic if you want up. JV, you know you're always welcome. He's talking about Spanish speaking people. And this is what made me say, boom, this has got to be the Freedmen's Bank Forum edition. Because in 2021, here's what Dr. Claud Anderson wrote in his book, PowerNomics, Chapter 2. Spanish speaking people, now called Hispanics, are another example. They have a vision. Not only are they coming to America for an improved quality of life, but according to William V. Flores and Rena Benmayor, in their book, Latino Culture Citizenship and Public Statements by the Council of La Raza Hispanics, Hispanics are coming to America with a vision of becoming the majority minority over Blacks. While Black Americans are fighting the battles of civil rights for everybody, these two authors explain that Hispanics are working to have cultural rights equated to Blacks' legal rights. Now, that is a mouthful right there. And when you look at how they laid this crap out at this Freedmen's Bank Forum, this is some straight up BS. And Dr. Claud Anderson hit it on the head. So let me shout out to people in the Twitter space in the room. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Feel free to request a mic if you like. Let me start off by playing this clip, and we're on YouTube as well, so be sure to subscribe, like, share the show, replay gang, leave a comment. You know, I want to hear from you. But let me play this clip. This is Vice President Kamala Harris. Okay, welcoming the people to the bank, okay, or to the forum. Let me hit the play on this real quick.
Of our administration, community bank leaders, and business leaders, it is an honor to join you once again at the Freedmen's Bank Forum. America is a nation powered by the ambition and aspiration of her people. The ambition and aspiration to turn a dream into a reality, to start a business, own a home, and get an education. But realizing these aspirations requires access to capital and financial services for so many. And not everyone in America has equal access to this essential support. Consider, Black entrepreneurs are 3 times more likely to not apply for a loan for fear of being turned away by a bank.
All right, so we got to stop right there. How dare she put out that Gaslighting 101 statement? Black people aren't afraid to. Now, whoever, JV, please come up here. Governor, can you come up off the mic? Y'all know good and damn well Black people are not afraid to apply for a loan. And there's too much documentation of Black Americans being turned away, discriminated against when they go and apply for loans. For this president, this vice president of the United States, to sit back and intimate that the only reason why we're not ahead in the game is because we scared, we afraid, we so scary. JV, you got the mic. Welcome to the show. What's up? Oh my goodness.
I'm becoming a personality on this app.
Say what?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I said, never mind. Yeah, so Sean Rochester broke it down in a Black Act. 2.5% of SBA loans, not because they don't want it, because there's bias. the lending infrastructure. That's been proven time and time again. I mean, they make this assertion every time black people are not having access that we don't know, but studies show that we actually do know, and they don't ever incorporate the fact that the prejudice and the discrimination is the fact that we don't have access to it. So it's a moot point. But what I heard is like the conflation with Hispanics, and there's an issue there as well because although they are discriminated, they're not discriminated to the extent, to the severity, or over an extended period of time as us. So I don't know why people keep doing that. I wrestle with that, but yeah, that's what I have.
No, thank you for that. And it's the point is that it's like, the way they're doing it, the way the United States is doing this is they're inviting all these people into the country, and they're overlooking us. Back in the day, and according to, this is what I think Claud Anderson wrote it in. I read this summer. I can't remember. I've been going through so many books. It was either this book or the other book. But here's the thing. In the after slavery and after the Civil War, America did some things because they did some things to make sure that black people appeared to be being taken care of. This is where these amendments and civil rights and all of these things went into play, because they were like, hey, listen, we gotta show the rest of the world that, we're not racist, we're not prejudiced, because if we don't demonstrate to the rest of the world that we're not racist, then these other countries can come over here and make spies and traitors out of black Americans because we're treating them so bad. So that was a good part of the motivation for America to just say, hey, look, we're going to treat you guys right, even though we're going to treat you right on the surface, but behind the scenes, we're going to dog you out and do everything we can, to make your lives miserable. You got it, Governor. What's tea?
Yeah, I mean, everything just goes back to assimilation. If you look at other, black races, when they date outside the race, right? It's accepted. It's almost taught in the household. So the concept of assimilation into whiteness is something that we reject as American black people. If you see Ms. Mel, if your son come up with that white bitch, you know what I'm saying? You're going to look at him like, motherfucker, what's wrong with you? But, the African mother, she's looking at him like, oh, this is good. You brought him. You brought her. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
leg up.
Even in the Caribbean, all of the mixtures that they mix with, the assimilation to the Spanish language, all of that, it's we refuse and reject to assimilate. That's why the other races, like I'm here in Prince George's County.
Yeah.
These Africans over here, they were the ones that bought up the $1 million houses. They're the ones. They're the ones that made Prince George's County what would be considered the richest black
Premier
county
spot. Really?
Yeah.
Now, see, that's news to me. I didn't know that, Governor.
Yes, it's you go into places like Bowie, Upper Marlboro, those are your homeowners. You go to places like Landover, you're going to see more black people renting property. So black people like us renting property, owned by those that live in the Bowies and in the Woodmores and places like that. So yeah, it all boils back to assimilation.
Right. And, and I don't know if if back in the day and if historically, if black Americans would have been accepted, because we've never been fully on, 100% face value accepted. There's always been, a string or something in the game. But had we been allowed to assimilate and just be who we are, just like other cultures are allowed to come through and be as Asian as they want to be and be as this as they want to be, and there's no problem with that. But we've never had that opportunity.
I think we did. I think we did.
Okay.
I think we did.
When do you think that happened?
Well, look at music. All right. So when music was taught to us, right now, we already had our own cultural music that we brought over from Africa. But if you look and see how when they tried to teach us gospel and things like that, we changed it. So that is a rebellion right there. So they were like, here, let me teach you this Bible, and all of a sudden we started learning how to read, and then we found some other pages, and it's like, nah, motherfucker, you lying to us.
Right.
So we've always rejected the assimilation, and we've, usurped American culture and created our own. So that's really what happened.
Okay. I can get with that. I don't disagree with none of that. I can rock with that. Let me see if I can get back a little bit with this. Hold on. Let me do this. With this Freedmen's Bank edition, because there's a couple of things, and I got the link. I think it's in my I don't know. I'll put it in the Twitter space. I want to get some more here of what the game plan is. This is why I said this is truly the sunken place, where Kamala Harris is talking about what they plan to do. And matter of fact, let me just start right here. So hold on. Let me make sure I got this set up the right way. Bring it in. And check this girl out. This is just out of control. Hold on.
And already this coalition has secured $1 billion in new capital for community banks across our nation. And today I am proud to announce that by the 2024 Freedmen's Bank Forum, this coalition plans to invest another $2 billion in community banks. We have also worked to expand access to capital through government contracts. Since taking office, President Biden and I have made historic federal investments in our nation. On climate alone, we will invest $1 trillion over the next 10 years. The result? Billions of dollars in federal contracts that will be available to businesses across our nation. But historically, minority and underserved business owners have not had equitable access to federal contracts. And so, we are increasing federal contracts for minority and underserved businesses by 50%, which will mean billions of dollars in steady, stable revenue for business owners to hire more employees.
Okay, you can shut up right there, Kamala Harris. The game. Okay, so when you listen to that, the plan is already in place. This is what they plan to have happen. This is what they plan to announce. And more than likely, it's going to be success of, okay, we did this, we started this, and now here we are at the forum in 2024. And boom, here's what we've been doing. And if you look at what's going on at the forum, there's not any, there's one black person on the panel, y'all. Oh, well, wait, there'll be another black person. What's her name? Maxine Waters. We don't have representation, y'all. We do not have representation. And the biggest question is, how do we empower ourselves? And this is what Claud Anderson is talking about in Chapter 2, The Keys to Empowerment. Any race that loves the world and hates itself will eventually become its own oppressor. I want to play this piece from Maxine Waters because this is what is so sad about this whole thing, is that Maxine Waters gets up here and she tells the truth about what the Freedmen's Bank was, what it stood for, what time it was, and they're not representing that now. They're using the name, they're using the history, the historical significance of the Freedmen's Bank to support this opposite endeavor now, okay? And nobody's stepping up to right this wrong or demand that we have true equity. And again, let me go back to this piece before I play this clip. Because just as Dr. Claud Anderson stated, he goes, he's talking about Hispanics are not only coming to America for an improved quality of life, but they are coming to America with a vision of becoming the minority over blacks. And our federal government is helping them do that. And while Black Americans are fighting the battles of civil rights for everybody, and maybe in 2001 we were, because we weren't quite woke, but while Black Americans are fighting the civil rights battle for everybody, These two authors explain that Hispanics are working to have cultural rights equated to Blacks' legal rights. Go ahead, Governor. You got it. What's that?
Well, I was going to tell you about a situation that, I was in. I took my dad to go, apply for his Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And there were young Spanish couples in there collecting Social Security.
Mm.
I found that I was baffled. So yeah, this is a constructed effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a constructed effort. I mean, Ms. Mel, when I was standing there looking at the shit, I was just like, how the fuck I paid into this motherfucker?
Mm-hmm.
So how the fuck is he getting this?
Right.
He can't even speak English.
Ooh. Well, he can't speak English and he hasn't paid enough into it, but we are under the threat of when it's time for us to get Social Security, it may not be available. Shout out to Dr. Nikki MPW, Proctor Walden, PhD in the house. Girl, you have some fantastic content on your channel. Thanks for pulling up. Appreciate you. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. These, they come in, they get to take advantage of everything that we've worked hard for, and the government is allowing it. So let's get to this piece where Maxine Waters is. And I mean, she almost looks like a hostage. Okay. She almost looks like a hostage. Dr. Proctor Walden, you are quite welcome. I'll drop this StreamYard link. You are welcome to come up here on this panel with me and assist in chopping this up. Just tell me, drop the link, and it's there. But Maxine Waters is looking like a whole hostage. Okay, let's get to what she's talking about here. Listen to her, y'all.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to thank Secretary Yellen and Adeyomo Deputy Secretary for hosting this forum today. And of course, it is such an honor to be gathered here before you all for today's Treasury's Freedoms Bank Forum and morning's panel entitled Scaling Underserved Businesses Through Capital and Ecosystem Support, to discuss the progress that's been made to deliver capital and technical assistance to help underserved businesses connect with customers and market opportunities. As everyone in this room knows, small businesses, including minority and women-owned businesses, are the backbone of our communities. That's why I've worked so hard, both as previous chairwoman of the Financial Services Committee and now as the ranking member, to ensure they're supported. Through Black banks, such as Freedmen's Bank, they were basically established post-Civil War to help formerly enslaved persons navigate their financial lives. These institutions were short-lived. Today, minority depository institutions that are serving descendants of enslaved people are closing at an alarming rapid pace, leaving these communities with less access to banking services.
Okay, let me jump in real quick and ask y'all this. What banks what banks are we aware of just off the top of our head that are specifically serving Black Americans, that it's in their mission statement, it's in their marketing, it's in all of their literature? What banks are out there that we are hip to, okay, that say this is specifically for Black Americans? Anybody on the panel or anybody in the YouTube or in the Twitter space, any of y'all, can y'all name one bank?
No.
Thank you. Okay. And she is about to mention a bank. And when I looked that bank up, I just did a quick little Google search on it. That bank is now been bought or been merged into another bank, which I didn't have the moment or the time to go and look all knee deep into that. Because like I said, I try to stay away from the speaking about the Freedmen's bank scenario, because I'm clearly not an expert, and I would rather leave that up to the experts on these Twitter streets, on YouTube, and everywhere else. But this was just so appalling. The way they're really just, I mean, completely playing in our face. It's just, I just had to come up here and have this little bit of discussion. So let me see, let me let her get to this new bank. But here's the thing. She's already acknowledged what the purpose of the Freedmen's Bank is. And if you knew, or was, we don't say is, okay, what it was, you've acknowledged that. And then you come to a forum in 2023 and see that what it used to be is not what you got. You're not presenting a new and improved. You're not presenting a revitalized. We wouldn't recognize this as a Freedmen's Bank based on how she described it accurately, historically, and what actions they're taking now. We wouldn't know it. We wouldn't know it as such.
As we all know, community development financial institutions and minority depository institutions have a long track of basically supporting minority and women-owned businesses. That's why in December 2020, I worked with Senator Warner and other colleagues across the aisle in the House and the Senate to secure an unprecedented $12 billion in capital investments and grants for CDFIs and MDIs like the Opus Bank. And this was to allow them to expand and provide the support that all communities deserve. This includes...
I'm stopping it right there. Again, all communities, all this and that. Again, there's nothing specific for Black Americans. Opus Bank is now up under Premier or Pacific Premier Bank. If there's anybody in the room that wants to do a quick Google search and pull up some details. I don't know when Opus Bank was absorbed. I don't know who, I don't know anything about that, but she's talking, oh, we did this for Opus Bank. Well, Opus Bank is really no longer an entire entity. And again, nobody in here in this room, Dr. Proctor Walden stated that M&T Bank branches used to serve Blacks. But there's, and thank God, because if Dr. Walden wasn't here, who else would have even thought about that one? Go ahead, JV, you got it, sweetheart.
Yeah, I don't know, the presentation because of this approach to building the minority, not consistent, like not a consistent experience. So, for example, we were talking about the integration or desegregation, and it looks a lot different for Black Americans than the other group, and that distinction has to be recognized. So we are segregated from the biggest wealth producer, which is home equity or access to home ownership.
Yeah,
Black people. Nobody else has that high vector or that metric. We are like nearly 90%
right
segregated versus Latinos who have a very lower metric, they're able to integrate, allows them to access wealth at a different margin, Orientals. So this minority thing, what does that mean? That just means homosexual. Like this is not real language. They're not specifying anything.
Right.
What's going to happen, just like with the bank failure, those with capital is going to scale. Those without, which is us, we have a wealth position at like 1.5, the same after emancipation. We do not have the capital to interact. That's why our bank fails. No capital means you have higher overhead with the bank. So you have these double dealings with larger banks. They come in, they close it, they take these bonds or whatever, and they put it in their own community. Our communities don't get served. Like this is precedent. I don't even understand what they're doing. They're basically going to benefit white women,
thank you,
whoever else would call themselves a minority. I don't know. Like, it's not going to benefit. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not an economist, but based on my read, and Mercer Baranadon, he did a great observation of Black banking. You need money to scale. Full stop. And then when it comes to Black banks, it becomes a charity organization because everybody wants them to help us win. Like, and they're not going to perform like a business. Like businesses, they need their bottom line. I don't know. This is not rocket science. I feel like this is just a way for other people to have access to do these things. We're not.
Yeah, we're not, yeah, the objective is not like the same objective for every other ethnicity that these banks serve. And I think on a previous program that we did, we had Joseph, who came up on the stage, and he was talking about how there was one bank that they put so much money in it. The bank said, "Oh, we got to turn this down because we can't afford the fees." And I'm paraphrasing bigly, but they couldn't afford the fees associated, the business fees associated with having that much money in their person. And whatever those banking responsibilities were, I can't outline because I don't know. But it's like, oh, we'll show that we're really trying to support Black Americans, and then we'll overload them to an extent where they're structurally not able to handle this level of money. And so then it appears as though we tried to help them, but once again, they just couldn't do it. Those poor Black people. Okay, Governor, you got it.
The other thing is, see, we've only had savings banks in our. They haven't been investment banks, and see, that right there is another one of your issues, because a Black bank that solely serves Black people should actually have market accounts. It should have insurance policies. It should have rollover accounts. And all these motherfuckers is really talking about is opening up another savings bank. Savings bank doesn't give you points on the dollar, so you're still losing. And JD's right. You got, we've been deprived of, home ownership. I own a house, but not every Black American does.
Right.
And I'll tell you this: you care more when you own something. Mm-hmm. So I look at the taxes that I pay. I look at how I can get tax breaks. I look at how my property looks. I take care of it because it's something that I own. Mm-hmm. So we've been devoid of that as well. But see, the other wealth generation is we all are going to die. And having that life insurance policy on mama, that's about $1 million, and her funeral is only going to cost $5,000 to $10,000. That's wealth generation right there. Mm-hmm. Trust accounts, all of these different types of entities that we have that, the larger portion of our community doesn't even know about. These are the wealth generating mechanisms that these motherfuckers ain't talking about. Mm-hmm. And that's why I stay out of these conversations and I just stick with music, because I see the bullshit.
Right. And you good with music. I'll be sure to make sure you follow the stove. Well, you shout it out, Governor. Shout out the liquor stove, aka the stove. Now, go on.
Oh, we do a music space every, Tuesday and Friday night. We go dummy. You know what I'm saying? You won't hear me talking this, eloquent in that space. We're on Twitter. That's all you gotta do is follow either the Chief account or the Stowe account. Yeah, we just go in there. We just have a good time, play a bunch of music all around Black culture. We actually, even last night, we double back with the samples, and I played, I played some Neil Rogers samples. Mm-hmm. Like, people don't know that Neil Rogers wrote music for David Bowie. So we get educational, but on a dummy level. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Be sure to, put one of your recorded shows in a Jumbotron too. That way somebody can get easy access to it since we doing the daggone thing. JV, your hand is up. What's up, sir?
Yeah, I just wanted to double down on something. The magic of banking is the ability to multiply the money. Money multiplier is what's the function of a bank that allows it to scale and allows it to transfer money. Like Governor said, he's only saving in Black banking. And the error with that, like I said before, is the savings for people without wealth. So with Kamala saying they're going to give X amount of millions and millions of dollars to the bank, I'm curious, what is that money for? The bank overhead? Is it for functions? You still are taxing to us debt.
Well, what Kamala was saying was that those funds are actually going to be available. See, they're going to be made available to quote unquote minorities and people of color. Okay. For them to be able to get into the game. But bear this in mind. And this is what the problem is. How does Kamala Harris say, and wait, let me segue for a minute. Dr. Proctor Walden said that she agrees. The banks, we don't have that infrastructure, and that's by design. That's by design that we don't have the infrastructure, and why they do
Can I
try.
say this?
I'm sorry.
Can I say this?
Yeah.
When you say minority, you don't know their experience. These might be people who come from wealth from their country.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, who are you?
That's
You're fixing what?
that's what
Like,
I'm.
you're showing me that these people are coming from poverty and
No.
dysfunction. That's
No.
not their story.
That's
That
what
might not be necessarily their story. They might be Indians from a class that
Thank
raised
you.
on its own people. Now they're here in America. They're doubling down on wealth. Like,
Exactly, JV. Exactly. Now, listen. That's why this is.
I don't know why they're not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be jumping in and cutting you off. I'm just in so much agreement with you. You're absolutely right. But see, that's them playing in our face. Because bear in mind, the very first thing she said was, "We know historically blacks don't apply for loans because they're so afraid." We're not afraid. Don't do that. Why would you say that, Kamala Harris? But when you're ready for our vote, that's exactly where you're going to go, straight to the black Americans and say, "Yeah, vote for me, vote for me." This is bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's what that is. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah. Back in the 80s, you had a bunch of Nicaraguans coming to America. I read in this book, by Gary Webb. You had a bunch of Nicaraguans that were coming over here. They were their politics were being upset by the communists. The people that were coming here were not poor. These were millionaires. These were people who were part of the oligarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me they're going to come over here and have access to minority status and benefits? Like, come on.
Well, they letting it.
Are we serious? Like,
well, here's the thing. And for those of you that are on YouTube, look at the screen. Look who was at the forum. There's only one person on this stage at this time who's black, and he's not. He all he's doing is moderating. He's just facilitating the conversation. The rest of these people are they're in. They're decision makers. They're rubbing shoulders with decision makers. They're helping write the policy. They're helping share perspective. They're helping lend the way in which all of this Freedmen's Bank should be bent to meet their needs. And then now, since this is so national, to I guess save face or something, or to continue the misinformation about Black Americans, you got Kamala Harris saying, historically Black people have been afraid to go and get a bank. Why don't you spit a true fact, which is historically Black people have been rejected for home loans and all other type of loans, capital loans, things of that nature, to start their own businesses. And the fact of the matter is not because they're not skilled or qualified. It's because there's been some racism in the game. Governor, you got it. What's that?
Well, here's the other little caveat.
Mm-hmm.
Both of y'all are cooking. The other caveat is this actually, she's speaking in coded language, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta remember, she's AKA. So she all about women. So when she says they've been afraid, that's what she's talking about. It supports the gender divide at the end of it. Because now you see where, you have more Black women having, gainful employment, whether it's through contract, whether it's through, any type of system. You see that. And so now you have that pull apart. Like, there are grants solely set aside for the development of Black women. She's speaking coded language.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she's talking. She's not talking about, the Black man has been afraid, because we've already been, kicked out of the system for credit. It's not like, we can go and see some African said it to me. African man said it to me years ago. He said, "I'm able to get loans from a bank because I have a flag." So Now you have, I was told that. He said, "I have a flag, so I can get a loan from the bank. You don't have a flag." So when you're told, when all these things are being said to you, and you really start listening to those kind of dog whistles, yes, she's talking to women.
Well, and and again, over here on YouTube, Dr. Walden has stated, pay attention, white women are minorities too. I mean, the thing is, the thing is, let me just, the thing is, y'all, Black Americans, we are in the sunken place. We're in the sunken place. All we can do is sit back and watch. That's all we got going is the opportunity to watch. And that's a problem. And that's a problem. Um, let me read some of this. The first chapter discussed how slavery generated racism. This is chapter 2, The Keys to Empowerment, Dr. Claud Anderson, PowerNomics, the National Plan to Empower Black America. The first chapter discussed how slavery generated racism, which created race-based monopolies and vast wealth for whites. These race-based monopolies made whites the proverbial 900-pound gorilla and rendered Black Americans null and void as a competitive and productive group in the marketplaces. However, like any monopoly, white racial monopolies are not perfect. They can be beaten, but Blacks will need the right combination of skills, appropriate mindsets, clear direction, a sense of group self-interest, and a competitive group spirit in order to compete and win. When these attitudes are properly mixed with our group competitive advantages, we can play the real-life monopoly. In this chapter, we will learn about the keys and tools that can empower Black America and make it unified, self-directed, and economically stronger. And when I read this earlier, I had a question. What are Black Americans' competitive advantages? And I don't know if there's anybody either on YouTube or here in these Twitter spaces that can answer that question, but that's the question on the table. In YouTube, Dr. Walden is saying, we don't hold people accountable. Ooh. We don't hold people accountable for the buzzwords and bullshit that they expect us to digest and accept. Ooh, girl, you said a thing. JV, your hand is up, sir. Go ahead. You got the mic.
Thank you. I don't mean to be too wordy.
Do your thing, sir.
I read this book over 50 years ago. It made sense at that time. Now I'm hearing it different. But I want to hear what he's saying. Like, I feel like this is a bootstrap.
Wait, JV, are you on a headphone? Because you're saying some stuff, and I really want to hear it, and you're kind of fading in and out. So now, are you on a headset? I want to hear you.
Let me get off.
Yeah, let me hear you real clear, because you're about to say something. I need to hear it. Say what now? And shout out to everybody in the room. If you share the space, that would be wonderful, be amazing. The YouTube channel is in the Jumbotron. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm not going to get rich overnight. Just want you to subscribe to the channel so we can keep the conversation in the algorithm and get more intelligent voices contributing to the conversation. Okay, you ready, JV?
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
Oh, my God, that's delicious. Go ahead. You got it.
All right. So I read the book over 15 years ago. It made sense at the time. Now I'm looking at it from a pair of fresh eyes. And I'm curious to know what he's saying in chapter 1, that our behavioral patterns are going to change our financial situation. Well, why is nobody else responsible to have behavioral patterns to scale up? In fact, when you look at this America, specifically post-emancipation, the way white people under Teddy Roosevelt, under the 1950s white affirmative action, under the GI Bill, under the bank bailout 2008, they constantly are flooded with money. They're constantly subsidized. They keep getting these kind of FHA loans or some type of, they're given like some type of socialist thing, and somehow we're left with the burden of being Black capitalists. When in fact, nobody has been a capitalist except for the predatory behavior that they've done to us. Like, when have white people ever done capitalism? It's never been a meritocracy. There's always been a buddy system. There's always, let's give these people money and exclude Black people. That's literally in the language.
Right.
My grandfather was a World War II veteran. Why didn't he get a home? I need that home so I could flip it at that 2.5 right now. Like, what are we talking about? They're buying homes for raspberry. Like, they were buying homes for nothing. They paid less for a mortgage in the 50s than they paid for a damn apartment in a project. They paid less for a home in the suburbs. Their mortgage was less. And the FHA was flexing and giving these low interest rates. Like, give me a damn break. Then Teddy Roosevelt gave them that New Deal. Give me a damn break. And then you want to go before that? They got the Homestead Act, $1.73 billion, if not trillion dollars, was given not only to Anglo whites, but these new whites that was coming to America.
Right.
80% of Americans today are direct beneficiaries of that money. They're going to inherit that money.
Yes.
What are we talking about? Now we're going to tell black people if we behave a certain way?
Well, now,
this is a joke.
Now. Okay, and you know what? And JV, I'm telling you, JV, when you were in here the last time, you know, I love that passion. I love the fact that I like that you're mad about it. I appreciate you being angry about it. But I am going to say this to you. I think you've misinterpreted what Dr. Claud Anderson is saying when he's talking about these behavior patterns. He is telling, you know, it's just like being at the crib with your family and you have to tell your child or your parent has to tell you to grow your ass up. And it's not something a parent wants to say. It's not something a child wants to hear, vice versa. But sometimes this is what has to be said. Plus, this is also the way Dr. Claud Anderson broke this down is it's giving us the opportunity to identify who is on and off code, if you will, for lack of a better term. So he's outlined in chapter 1 the different behavior patterns that indicate who, you know, who's conducting themselves appropriately that's going to take us to success and who isn't. So those are the things. If we were operating that way in some of the things that he outlined, and you can check out the other episode if you want to know, because we went over those extensively. If we were operating in any of those particular behavior patterns and we really wanted to change our life, the way Dr. Claud Anderson broke it down in chapter 1, we could now say, you know what, that's me. I got to change. I don't want to be the hindrance to my people overall. Governor, you got it. What's up?
Yeah, I think when he's talking about behavior patterns, it's JV, you said it, man. They operate on a socialist system. Think about a boxing match, right? You got a skilled trainer versus a non-skilled trainer. You got a skilled and trained athlete versus a brute athlete that doesn't even have any skills. Who do you think is really going to win?
It really depends, because
that is the mindset. So coming out of slavery, you know, we had that was our ability, the endurance, the strength, the willpower, drive. But there was no tactic. We didn't know anything.
Strategies, right? Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
So you would lean more. You would put your money on the skilled fighter. You say, okay, he's got this many wins, this many losses. You look at all of the things that he has versus that stronger. Now, some of us have been able to move and push our weight around. Got the Jay-Z's and the Oprah Winfrey's, but they're looked at as exceptional in you know, their assimilation into whiteness. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Those are white people.
Quietly. Yeah,
quietly. That's what.
Yeah,
I mean, what they are,
and why they, and you know, and anyway, I'm not even going to go there. JV, I see you got your hand up. I'm going to come to you in just a minute. But here, the question on the table right now is, what are Black Americans' competitive advantages? Because this is what Claud Anderson is saying, that when these attitudes are properly mixed with our group competitive advantages, we can begin to play real-life Monopoly. So it goes on. In this chapter, we will learn about the keys and tools that can empower Black Americans and make it unified, self-directed, and economically stronger. Many will ask questions if it is possible for Black America to transform itself into a state of economic and political competitiveness. Can modern Black America do what 18 previous generations of Blacks failed or were not allowed to do? Go ahead, JV. You got your hand up. Go ahead. What's up?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be consistent to the title of the book. So what are we competitors at? We have an overwhelming number of Black women who are highly educated. Some people say we're the most educated. I heard that's not the fact, but the fact is we have a lot of educated Black people. We have a bunch of homeowners in 2008 that were disrupted from their home ownership, although they had good credit, good savings, and everything else, right? Without any subsidies, without anything from government. we have an eager class of people that are not recognized. They only recognize a small percentage of our groups as criminals. We have an industrious, resilient, beautiful people. We are highly competitive. Our issue is not how competitive we are. Our issue is we're not dealt with fair on a playing field. The playing field is disrupted. Obama went to, I think it was Morehouse, and he told these young men who came out of poverty, who came out of the crack epidemic, the war on drugs, that they need to be better men or better fathers or something. It's like they beat the odds with nothing. Like, how dare you say something like that?
Yeah.
And I heard his cry that he went to like some type of Jewish thing and gave them all type of platitudes and affirmations. I just don't really care for this argument anymore about how competitive we are. Because I think we're looking at the least of us, and we're not recognizing that lowly post office person or that electrician or that civil service person. Like, we out here busting ass and taking names.
Yeah.
But we're not being dealt with properly. They are not giving us loans. They're discriminating out the wazoo. Racism has went underground. We have to actually kind of go under the lid and prove it's racism. Like, we can't even say black in the language when we give suit. So, like, I mean, I don't know, Claude. I'm willing to listen to it and have a fair mind, but I don't think we're framing it right. I think we're doing more self-loathing. What do we need to do? We're doing it. Like, so many of us are actually busting our ass. It bothers me. The people, I feel like it's more the same. It's bad propaganda. Like, are we not recognizing the? I'm done.
Well, you know what, JV, I'm going to tell you what. I just I just really, really, really appreciate the fact that you're ready to throw this book across the room, out the window and into the damn fireplace. I appreciate that you're freaking fed up with.
No. I respect Claude Anderson, and he's going to teach me something, but I don't like the pivot. The pivot sounds like a white supremacist. Like, they said that we're going to let the Negro grow because. Let me say two things. They said we won't let the Negro go because he's going to be a drunkard and a whiner. That's what they said out of emancipation. 80% of the tradesmen were human trafficked people, enslaved people. That was 80% of the tradesmen. Like, think about that. That was the workload. We were reduced to 25% of the tradesmen over a 30-year period because the American Federation of Labor, which brought a bunch of white ethnic people from all over the goddamn world and put them in position to do all the trade.
Right.
So it's not what we're not doing, it's how we're being disrupted.
Right.
The AFL would not let black people in. That is a fact. The AFL-CIO, they unionized, they created a concerted effort to leave us out of a job. And then we had Jim Crow. So I don't know what period is Claude talking about? The 80s and the 70s? Jim Crow was done when, 65?
Well, no, because because he has addressed it. He's laid the foundation. Like I said, you've read the book, so you already have overall understanding or idea of what he's talking about. And I think, and like I said, you're being aggravated by this. To me, I appreciate it so much. That level of aggravation that you feel, however, is what people who are just being introduced to Dr. Claud Anderson, either to him or to his books, that's the level of aggravation they need to be feeling, because that's the only way we're going to sit up and listen and say, okay, what do we have to do to work together? Dr. Walden is in the YouTube saying that one of the major setbacks of Black people in America is the fact that the civil rights movement fought for equality instead of equity. They granted us equality, and that we equally have, we equally have nothing. Boy, Dr. Nikki, you are hitting it, girl. Yeah, we have equally absolutely nothing. And it's all been a smokescreen. And it's clear. And so back to you, JV. The point is that Claud Anderson he's ripping the Band-Aids off. He's making it clear, y'all, we are in dire straits. We're in a jammed up situation. This is what the situation is. And here's what we need to do to make it better. Governor, you got it. What's up?
Like I said, everything goes back to assimilation at the end of the day. That's what I'm hearing from chapter 2 in this book is assimilation. And yeah, civil rights movement, it was equality. It wasn't empowerment, it was equality, so that we could assimilate into whiteness. And if you looked at, kind of like that era where you had all of these high, making money Black people, they were white. That's what whiteness is. Whiteness is equity. Whiteness is stability. All of these different things. It's established.
Well, I think too that when you look at if you look at all the work that our ancestors did, because there was a chance where we came over, we were enslaved. We had, and JV, you talked about this, where we had other ethnicities coming to this country, and Dr. Claude wrote it out in Black Labor, White Wealth, where these people came over and stepped over Black Americans. And got all the benefits. They got the land, they got the this, they got the that, they got the that. And we're steady over here being that engine, that revenue wealth building engine for not only the white people that came here and slaughtered everybody, but then the other people that came over here and invested in cotton and then went back across the seas and had the money sent home to them. Okay. And all this went on while we were still enslaved, still chained up, still had no access, had no freedom, the whole 9 yards. So when you talk about the era that you just described, Governor, that is the least of what we should have had as Black Americans. And is that considered white? In my view, no. It's considered, yeah, about time y'all hooked us up with what we deserve. We deserve more. We deserve more. So let me. I see your hand up, Governor. Let me advance a little bit further into this chapter a little bit. But like Dr. Claud Anderson says, can modern Black America do what 18 previous generations of Blacks failed or were not allowed to do? In this chapter, you will find the answer to both questions is yes. It can be done, but it will not be easy. It will require Black Americans to make drastic behavior changes. We will have to overcome the primary impediments to Black empowerment, a historical wealth inequality between the races, our own learned inappropriate behavior, and lack of a national plan. For those who are serious about building a new foundation of group wealth and political power, the first thing we must do is examine how we see, think, and behave regarding racial matters. This chapter will contain many technical concepts that are essential to understanding the action steps and principles recommended in these later chapters. So I hope that kind of addresses some, kind of like what I was saying to you, JV, is, everything that Dr. Claude Anderson has said thus far in chapter 1 was for real people to say, you know what, that's me. Ooh, I be acting like that. Damn, I didn't know that was coon-like behavior. I thought I was being da-da-da. This is laid it out. And some people say, yeah, that's me and ain't nothing wrong with it. And Dr. Claude Anderson can go jump out a window somewhere. So it's good for us to identify who is the Cancun, okay, and who ain't. Okay? Governor, you got it, and then JV, you got it.
What I'm hearing when he says behavior is control perversion, right? I hear that. I don't hear too much of him, talking about coon behavior.
All right,
right? Because that goes back to assimilation.
Okay, let me jump in here and just thank you for saying that. Okay, so he talked about some inappropriate behavior patterns. And he says that the second impediment to empowering Black America is inappropriate behavior among members of its group. The inappropriate behavior patterns stem from distorted vision. They're conditioned to be colorblind. They neither see nor want to be Black. Inappropriate behavior is like your boy, shoot, I can't think of his name right now. Blackness is not just skin color. I kind of read that. Let me see. Let me go down there. Okay, collusion with the competition. Let's see. I'm trying to go through here and just. Okay, let me just hit here real quick. Social etiquette. Behavior patterns in this category appear to stem directly from the old social or Southern racial etiquette. Though one of the major accomplishments of Black civil rights movement of the 1960s was to modify some social etiquette that traditionally existed between Blacks and whites, many Blacks across America, especially in the South and Midwest, continue to honor old social customs. They avoid situations that make them appear free, independent, and active in shaping their own lives. That's a behavior pattern that he's saying we have to look at and we have to make some changes to. Who do we know? Let's look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you the type of person who avoids situations that make you appear free, independent, and active in shaping your own life? It says they are they are perfectly happy to go to work or church, look at television, and go to bed. They still know their place and know how to play get low. To them, what happens to Black people locally or anywhere else is of little concern. They want to appear as good Negroes, content, happy, compromising, and non-competitive. A good Negro or a safe Black person seeks approval of whites. These Blacks will neither speak up nor speak out on Black issues, nor will they defend against Black injustice. So these are the things that he's saying to us that these are the personality traits that we've got to look at and say, look, is this you? Is that him?
Okay,
And,
now let me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now let me ask this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I bring up perversion, right, it's a mix. It's basically what you're saying. It's the truth, and then it is the constructed truth that somebody has made up. What I'm seeing is, okay, so let's bring in the family structure.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the family structure, right? You got the man, and you got the woman, and you have a child. And all of a sudden, the woman, she says, I don't want to be here no more. I'm gone. She dipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's still dependent on that man's income, but she doesn't want to say it. So is that the behavior that he's talking about? Because that right there is a detriment to the community as well.
Well, I think that's probably an offshoot of that behavior. Because I believe that's an offshoot of it, but on a larger scale, and I think that's like a subsection of inappropriate behavior. Because ultimately, the right behavior pattern when a man and a woman get married should be, look, we in this thing for life. You know what I'm saying? Unless, we in this thing and nothing's going to tear our family structure apart. We're going to be a 2-parent household, until death do us part, blase scoop de ville. So you could winnow down and get to that particular piece, or you could winnow down and say, look, let's talk about inappropriate behavior as it relates to relationships. Let's talk about inappropriate behavior as it relates to being employees, being business owners. So there's different, there's so many directions that can go into when we talk about that inappropriate behavior. But on the larger scale, just off the top, off the rip, Dr. Claud Anderson is saying, look, this is an issue that has to be fixed. You can't be, we're not going to get anywhere as a group of people if half of us are, I just want to play the get low game, and I'm a good Negro, I'm happy and content, and there ain't no competition with you, mister. I just, you know what I'm saying? That ain't it. So here's another inappropriate behavior pattern. Avoiding Blackness. Blacks who exhibit this behavior avoid association with any form of Blackness. They want to be the first or only Black person in an integrated company, school, neighborhood, organization, or political party. Like whites, many Blacks gauge the amount of Black presence, and anything that is not integrated or is all Black is too Black and politically incorrect. This is another mindset that Dr. Claud Anderson is saying is an impediment to our success and achievement as a group of people, as a race, as a culture. When we have those type of mindsets or behavior intertwined with us trying to move ahead and pull it together, we have an issue. Back to Walters, what's her name? Yeah, the Maxine Waters being on stage. When I said she sounds like she's being held captive, like a hostage. Why Waters should have been like, I ain't coming up on that stage to talk about the factual historical piece of the Freedmen Bank unless you have more Black Americans, more descendants of chattel slavery on the panel to contribute to the conversation, as well as contribute to the reframing and reinstituting of the Freedmen Bank. But instead, you just pulled on up there for, I guess you hoping that's going to get you votes. You just pulled up there and just did your little tap dance, played the get low game, if you will, and you're on to the next one. The moderator on the panel, at the end, he was like, oh yeah, you guys are what pearls of wisdom. That's why I'm so glad you guys are, I had to have you guys on here. You ain't running this damn panel, brother. You just on here as a piece to make it look like there's somebody Black in there. Stop the madness. So when Dr. Claud Anderson is talking about these inappropriate behavior patterns, he's telling us we got to look at ourselves and figure out what is our problem and fix it. Or really not figure out what our problem is, just go ahead and select which one of these issues represents us the best and fix it, or choose to stay the same way, but get out the conversation then. JV, you got it.
Yeah, thanks. This is political red meat. Our counterparts love this type of language. They love this type of black people who just need to fix themselves up to create a better environment. Nobody has a responsibility to do that but us. This is so weird. This has been happening for so long.
Wow.
The same conversation. We just need, in the 50s, in order for a black person to get a loan, they had to be of good moral character. In addition to other things, finances, credit, whatever, but they had to have good moral character. How do you qualify that? Like that is an impossible feat. You can make anything up. What I'm recognizing is they're using what our behaviors or lack thereof as a way to say that we can't access the economy.
No, JV, no. And like I said, your dissenting voice is very helpful. Let me take a quick moment real quick and shout out Tatiana Harris. I do like Tatiana say, she say, hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You don't want to hear from you. Also, Dr. Walden has said a couple things in here that's been hitting on points. Let me see here. People migrate with no shame. Black America is programmed to make bricks without straw. Immigrants are coming here for all the free stuff, no doubt about it. LOL, no, everywhere I've worked, I am viewed as the angry black woman. Absent parenting began with white men during slavery. That's not a black thing. Flag on the play. We have assimilated into white dysfunctionality, no doubt about it. The thing is, JV, is that this is not Dr. Claud Anderson telling us this is y'all problem. This is why y'all can't get ahead. See, this is not him blaming us. This, in my view, is him telling us that these are the impediments that have held us back and will continue to hold us back unless we get our shit together. And I'm going to say this, because I think until I went back and kind of clarified some of what this inappropriate behavior pattern was, we were under the wrong impression. I think that's accurate because Governor was like, oh, okay. So it's a better understanding of what Claud Anderson means when he says the inappropriate behavior patterns. Y'all not going to tell me. Come on. Somebody either in YouTube or in Twitter, say a name of somebody who y'all know is Cancooning. Y'all know they Cancooning. I can't think of a name right now. You got your sports analysts out here. I can't think of the name, but they don't want to be around black people. They don't want to support anything black. When Kyrie Irving's ass was hanging off from the top of a flagpole, nobody came to his defense. I mean, come on. These behaviors that I just read, we've all seen that. And we've seen that. So we can't say that those don't exist. And somebody can tell me, how do you expect these type of negative behavior patterns to assist us in moving forward? But let me go a little bit further into this chapter. Let me see. Oh, wait. Tatiana said MSNBC, CNN, and Fox commentators. Yeah, the people, yes. They're Cancun, they're not representing. The only person who it would be and I don't know if she's still on Fox News, but Teslin Figueroa, she's the only one that's going to keep it 100, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, let me keep reading because I don't want to get off track here. Okay, in this chapter, you'll find the answer to both questions is yes. It can be done, but it will not be easy. It will require Black Americans to make drastic behavior changes. We will have to overcome the primary impediments to Black empowerment, a historical wealth inequality between the races, our own learned inappropriate behavior, and lack of a national plan. For those who are serious about building a new foundation of group wealth and political power, the first thing we must do is examine how we see, think, and behave regarding racial matters. This chapter will contain many technical concepts that are essential to understanding the action steps and principles recommended in the later chapters. Okay, distorted perspectives. This is so key. Claud Anderson says, our experiences give us our point of view. Like Alice in Wonderland looking into the mirror, what we see is distorted. It is not reality. Yet, what we perceive, we believe, and what we believe eventually controls how we behave. As Black people, we tend to see ourselves and the solutions to our predicament through the eyes of non-Blacks. We have done this for so long that we do not question whether or not our perceptions of reality are accurate. When we fail to challenge what we see and believe, we allow distorted views to lead to inappropriate behaviors. It is now time for us to correct the distortion by changing rather than keeping our perspective. Governor, your hand is up. What's tea? You got it, Governor. All right, he must have stepped away. Let me keep on reading. Out of the box thing. Yeah, go ahead, JV.
Yeah, I want to just finish off. I would like to get this book. Does he have any sources? Like, how's he qualifying it? This type of language is like, it's dismissive. It's self-loathing. Like, we had a rich Kool-Aid class for the longest. We had doctors, dentists, lawyers. Why is he punching down? Why is he recognizing the lowest of us? Yes, there are people who self-deprecate, but he's not factoring in the disqualification or the discrimination.
But JV, okay. So, okay. No. Okay.
Going left though, like I'm giving this is actually happened. Why is he saying that? Yes, there are people who are brainwashed, but that doesn't represent the greater majority of us.
But that's not what he's saying. He's saying that this is what the problem is. He's not.
No, he's wrong. The problem is prejudice. We're not doing anything wrong. We actually demonstrated that we're still alive because we've been hanging on to tooth and nail.
Okay.
We always had overproductive people. Like, we are functional people. It has not. This is my position, and I just want to know, what is he sourcing to prove this? Where is he getting this from? Yes, we have people who are brainwashed, who are whitewashed. That is a thing, but how are you representing that as our problem? When we have been we've been locked out of everything. Like,
but I think what he's trying to get at, and I see what you're saying. I think what he's trying to get at, JV, is that unless we stop this behavior that he's outlined, because if you really want to know the truth about it, I feel like what he's done here is actually given a full description of what the issue is, because until people have read his book, they can be, there's a problem, but I can't really say exactly what it is. But we got problems. Claud Anderson has said, look, here's a problem. Specifically, this is an issue. And unless or until we decide that, we identify and actually articulate the issue and choose to move or create a strategy to work around it, then that's going to be the thing that continues along with us. That's going to be the thing that continues to hold us down. So, I mean, I get
more. I'm not going to dissent anymore. I want to see how he qualifies that.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to read.
Okay, and you're open. You're open because you're probably not the only person that has that point of view, and so that's why I really do appreciate it. Okay, out of the box thinking. It has been said that the epitome of madness is to do the same thing over and over while fully expecting things to somehow change. We have spent centuries seeking civil rights and social acceptance with our conditions, while our conditions remain relatively fixed. As long as we continue to perceive and respond to our socioeconomic situation in the same old manner, we should expect to get the same old results. If we want different results or an improved lifestyle, we have to see, think, and act differently. Our national empowerment plan must be based on new, collective, out-of-the-box thinking. Every social, political, legal, and economic policy and practice that relates to Black people must be rethought so we can find creative channels through which we can emerge as a competitive political and economic force. The following line dot puzzle illustrates. I don't really want to read this because I don't have the images up here, so it kind of makes it a challenge, but I'll read it anyway because it will help. The following line dot puzzle illustrates what we mean by out of the box thinking. The problem is to connect the 9 dots by using only 4 straight lines without taking the pencil or pen off the paper. Most people cannot solve the problem because they are bound and limited by their perspective. They will see the dots as boundaries and they will want to stay as close to the dots as possible. To solve the puzzle, a player must be free enough in his thinking to extend his or her perspective beyond the dots as indicated in the set of dots in box B. Conventional wisdom and perspectives will neither solve the puzzle of racial justice nor empower Black America. Racial inertia and competing social and economic forces are too strong for Black Americans. Black Americans have been locked outside of the system for so long that we need to learn a new perspective in order to connect the dots. Now, to me, that says to me, JV, that that this is what we need to do. The same problem. We've had the same problem. Here's what we need to do to make it better. Dr. Paul Walden in the YouTube channel saying what's missing is very clear language. It's a strategic plan, an execution plan, and a way to assess and redirect. Everyone knows what the problem is. What's missing in very clear language is a strategic plan. I appreciate you saying that, Nikki, because that's really what I believe Dr. Claud Anderson is getting to in his book. But yes, right now we don't have a strategic plan. We don't have an execution plan. And we do need a way to assess and redirect. And how can we assess if we don't start with self? If we don't say, okay, what's been our problem? We know what we have to fight. But what has been our internal problem? Because why are we still fighting the same constant that's always been there? Why are we still fighting that? So, all right. So Claud Anderson goes further. He goes, we got into our dilemma as a group. And since racism is a team or a group competition, we must play and win this contest as a group. Our new perspective then must be one of group solidarity. When a skin color team loses, everybody on the team loses, regardless of job, income, or education. In team competitors, or as you were in team competition, it is the responsibility of every member of the team to be sure his or her actions result in a team win. A perspective of group solidarity on race matters empowers us to see the world and others through our own eyes and to prioritize our own interests and needs above all others. For Black America to place its own group self-interest ahead of every other group does not mean dislike for other groups. It simply means that we have matured politically and economically and will neither love nor treat any other group better than we love or treat ourselves. Now, JV, based on that alone, do you have a comment on that? And Dr. Nikki, I wish you could come up on here because I would love for you. You said because low-hanging fruit is easy. What exactly do you mean by that? Can I drop this link and you pull up, please? JV, what are your thoughts about that piece right there? Does it sound...
It's historically inaccurate. It sounds like the model minority argument. I don't want to dissent, but you asked me to speak.
Yes.
If you look at the NAACP of old, it's not the same NAACP. They were putting in work. They were putting in pain, and bodies were dying. Like this is not nothing to play with. I'm curious of a gentleman of his age is not inserting that. Like they have put in serious work to push policies and potentially legislations or protections for people. This was a very violent, volatile country. I'm doing a book club on a red summer. Mm-hmm. That period alone demonstrates the resilience of Black people under domestic terrorism. I'm really curious about who he. I don't accept that. No, we're not. No, we are a formidable foe. We have been working. He's leveraging the worst of us. That's not good. This is not a good argument so far.
Okay.
We have been putting work, but we have mutual aid. Our Black AME churches were born out of that. We're forced to do collectivism. We are innovative, creative, robust people. I don't know. No, this is wrong. This is white supremacist language. This is reaching out to our bottom, our lower people who are not doing that, but they don't overly represent us. Too many of us put in some serious work, paying, dedicated. We had the Ida B. Wells, we had the Jesse Bingers, Madison Walker. No, this is bad so far. I don't like it. It's bad. It's self-loathing. It's self-deprecation.
Wow.
It's not correct. I'm going to stay for the build. I respect you. I respect Claude. I'm going to stay, but it's wrong. Everything about this is painful and it's harmful.
Okay, JV. Well, listen. I appreciate it. I appreciate your point of view. I appreciate your point of view. So, Dr. Walden, I did drop the link. So you're certainly free to pop up. You can keep the cam off if you want. Oh, here you go. All right. Let's bring Dr. Walden onto the stage. And hey, Dr.
Hey,
How you doing?
I am well. Hold on, let me put my little avatar. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead with your question. I was following what the brother was saying, and if I could for just a second,
Please.
I understand where his I don't want to call it anger because we always use negative terms when we're talking about Black people and Black things. I understand his excitement, so I'll put it that way. Because oftentimes we are picking up and reading these books with, some outdated ideas. So yes, when the book was published, some of these things may have been on point, but when we don't have people, revisit ideas and these, theories and, ideologies, then you kind of get stuck in, thinking that or holding these people to high regard with outdated thinking. Again, I don't want, this person has nothing to do with this, but I'll throw his name in there anyway. And like, Dr. Umar Johnson, everything that he says is like 30 years outdated. This is why it doesn't resonate, and he lends himself to so much criticism. So my suggestion would be this, and I can't remember who said it because I don't, I'm coming up from YouTube, so I don't have the benefit of seeing who's on the panel, but, respect to all the brothers who are on the panel, who've been, definitely imparting some very critical commentary that's needed. My suggestion and what I've done and with my own students, because I've done all my work at HBCUs, because I'm a proud product of an HBCU, is that I take the time to teach my students about all of the different institutions like government, criminal justice, education, so on and so forth. And we talk about what these things are supposed to do, their primary function. And then we talk about how these institutions are broken when it comes to the plight of Black people. Because one of the major issues is that most of the time we're fighting what is not the primary reason for us being disenfranchised. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, for example, you might go up to the jail or wherever, and you're talking about, the criminal justice system, when what may be failing the particular loved one might be, health care, because your person who's locked up may be suffering from a mental illness or undiagnosed illness or so on and so forth. So that you can focus your energies towards what that is that you really want, not fall for the Jedi mind trick, which is look at this over here while we're doing all of this to you over here. So that's one, the one thing that I wanted to impart and just add to, outside of the strategic plan and execution plan, because people can talk about strategies all day, but how do we do this? And then a way to assess it so that when we need to intervene, if things are not going the way we would like for them to go, or there are new things that are happening as a result of these plans we're putting into play, then we have a chance to redirect quickly, as opposed to wait for it to all go to shit. And then they say, well, we gave y'all this money. Here's what you did.
So let me ask you this question. Based on what we talked about the behavior patterns, and me trying to explain that, because from my point of view, Claud Anderson is saying, look, these are particular behavioral traits and patterns that need to be modified in order for us to implement a winning strategy. Do you see it that way, or do you see it a different way?
Okay, so what's missing from that premise or that argument is why or examples of how this behavior has impacted us. Because I tend not to look very negatively on things that I refer to as beautifully Black, from the elite, the bourgeoisie, down to the ratchet. All of it serves a purpose, and it's all beautifully Black. If I can recognize it as Black slice of life, I'm okay with it. Yeah. So, you know, I'm not all for acquiescing to what we would call being whitewashed. So I'm not really sure. Like, you have to give me, as a writer, it's your job to give me concrete examples of what you are trying to say. Other than that, you leave it up to me to run with what I think you're trying to say. And there may be a break in communication.
Mm-hmm. Well, JV's putting all kind of 100s in the air for you, Doctor.
Well, I mean, he's on to it. And again, it takes his type of energy along with, you know, my enthusiasm and me being willing to go where the people are sick. And I'm not calling Black people sick, but you judge a good doctor if they're able to go into the community where people are sick and make them well. Not these doctors who don't have anything to do because these people have good health care plans and they were healthy anyway. So, you know, I go where I feel like I can do the best work, you know, that will definitely say, you know, to my ability to impact change. You know, I'm not just a change agent. I'm an agent of change. I've transitioned to being an agent of change. You know, everybody has qualities to be a change agent. But when you transition and you can actually have tangible evidence of what you've done and the work that you're doing in the community that pushes the needle, even if it's just a little bit, then that's when you can say, you know, you're worth your worth. And I can't remember what my granny used to say, something about some snuff. But at any rate, you know, that's kind of where I am with it. And people don't want to have those difficult and uncomfortable conversations. But education or educated people should feel compelled to make those around them most uncomfortable. Most uncomfortable. Yeah. Because even with, if I could just say this one last thing, because as I said, it's been a challenge for me to kind of stay in the chat and, you know, be calculated with the characters that you have to give. Because as I said, I can lecture forever. Right. But one of the things that we also want to be mindful of when I was talking about buzzwords and bullshit or conjecture and supposition is that you have to be very clear in asking people to define and start asking these elected officials, well, what does that look like? Because I promise you, what you'll find is most of the time they don't know. They'll just say, oh, well, these are feel-good terms. Because, you know, every year they have a list of feel-good terms and you'll see them in slogans everywhere. I think this year the feel-good terms was we're gonna translate and evaluate or something or whatever. And I was like, no, elevate. I was like, well, elevating to what?
Thank you. And from where?
You know, you got to finish the sentence.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about minorities, you have to understand that minority is different from Black people.
Right. And
I'm tired of white women being the beneficiaries of everything put into place because their own white man doesn't respect them any more than anybody else. I'm not here to fight the white woman's fight. Well, her issues have never been my issues. I want her to keep her man in the bedroom with her and out of mine.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't disagree with I don't disagree with anything that you said. And I will say this, and JV, I'm going to let you go in just a hot second. I feel like Dr. Claud Anderson in his previous writings and previously in this book where he's laid it out. So JV, go ahead. You got the mic. What's that? Let's hear your
point. Lays it out, but it's not finished. That's my point. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. JB.
Go ahead, JV. You got it, babe. Unmute your mic, JV.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can right now, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the sister hit it on the nose. This is low-hanging fruit. They're looking for the worst of us to form their argument. And when they do that, it becomes abstract. You should not do X, but you never gave me Y. And with this Y, nobody else is responsible to do Y. When you, again, I'm going to say it again, wealth, but this is what's wrong. Economics, wealth, home ownership, equity. Everybody has a transfer to wealth but us. Full stop. I don't know how to have this conversation after that. Then it becomes illusionary and abstract or dog whistles and, well, you just got to pick up your pants or collaborate. We've done that. There's so many instances historically. We have to recognize the best of us who have done that. People who are labored and tired and stood away from their family. Our MLKs, our Malcolm X's, like they dedicated their life to organize it. There's so many other examples of people that are not put in the hook history books or recognized. We have silent contributors. Like this is very, very dismissive.
Okay, so
like,
now let me get you right here, JV, and ask you this question. And Dr. Nikki, I'm glad you're still on the panel over here on YouTube. Here's my question to you. When we outline the types of personalities, the type of people that are in our group, our ethnic group, Black Americans, okay, and we went over these behavior patterns that are not positive. How do we incorporate them into a group vision if we don't resolve the problematic thinking or behavior patterns that they're coming into the group with? How can we as a group proceed forward into these strategies and implementations if we don't correct those behavior patterns that will throw us down the drain or hold us back coming out the gate? And either Doctor, you go ahead and answer that question if you don't mind. And then JV, you can respond back to it as well.
Well, if I could, because I love for the Black man to lead, let me defer to my Black brother to go ahead and lead us into this fight. Okay, I will come through with the 1-2 if he needs me.
Well, there you go. Go ahead, JV. Can you respond to that question, sir?
Wow, that was powerful. I was prepared to be a gentleman, but damn, you just affirmed me. I think what she just said is the answer, right? We need to affirm one another. We don't need to. So that strategy is null and void. You're not going to fix everybody. That's unrealistic. Like, that's not how communities work. Communities work from the top up, not from the bottom up. Like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. And like, we look at historically the communities that were able to scale. They were able to scale by not looking at the bottom, but building from the top, and then they protect the bottom, or they obscure them. You don't even recognize how much degeneracy is happening in these communities. Like, they lead in certain crime vectors that we never hear of. Why? Because they have political power, they have economic power, and they're in position. They have their own communities. They deal with their own stuff. They're not over police, but don't think that they don't have like some sick degenerate people. So for us to look at our degeneracy as a political play, this is red meat. This has consistently been what they've been doing to like lock us out of jobs, economy, roads, everything. Hey, look at that guy over there. He's boogers in his nose. Let's not. You guys are disgusting. Like this is like a simple conversation. This is not the conversation we need to have. Flood us this economy. We're paying taxes. We've been here for 500 goddamn years. Like this is a new conversation. I'm sorry.
Okay. Doctor, any follow up to that?
Well, I'm gonna ask my brother, shall I proceed?
JV?
Please, with grace and beauty.
Thank you. That's the only way I do it. And a little bit of fervor from the ancestors.
Wow.
So we have a lot of information here, and of course, never enough time to discuss it or unpack it. Mm-hmm. So what Mel said, with regard to the behavior situation. First of all, we need to understand what Black social norms are and not compare them to white social norms. So I'm a lot more forgiving and flexible with our behavior because there's a reason for the behaviors that we encounter that may not necessarily be pleasant. Because it's only God's grace and mercy that I'm not somebody sitting out on Skid Row and that, I'm here where I am. So, I have empathy and compassion for what we call the ratchet and the, undesirables. Actually, those are some of my favorite people because, again, they're not afraid to do the work and they know what the bottom looks like. So you don't have to convince them of how bad shit can get. Mm-hmm. So I look at it as different ways of communicating. So in this circle, we can use sophisticated language and so on and so forth. But we need to have these other people sitting, and I mean other people meaning like, whatever people are saying with these, this taxonomy of behaviors that are undesirable, that are supposed to be genuinely Black, to say, hey, how can we reach you where you're at? Mm. Because you can't pull somebody up if you can't reach them where they're at.
True.
You just can't. And, I may not always feel comfortable in going into the roughest of the neighborhoods, but the people who live there, that's their people. And they can galvanize. So everybody has a place and a space. We all have to be on the same page, or as Robin D.G. Kelly says, we got to have the same dream. So we don't have to do it all the same way, but if we have the same dream, then sooner or later we'll all get to wherever that, place is, because it's different for everyone. So, as I said, I just try to be a lot more empathetic and compassionate from those who are, undereducated, impoverished, who may be upset for a myriad of reasons that may not be my day-to-day troubles and struggles. Mm-hmm. But say to them, okay, I understand. Although I don't live it, I understand how this may be an issue if you have to sell your body to feed your children or to feed a habit that the government put, out here for you to be hooked on, but they don't have a way for you to get off of it and still have your family. Or that you're always a paycheck away. So, social services will only help you if you stay or maintain a nothingness existence.
Right.
It can't be used as a footstep up, and we're going to support you for a year to make sure you're able to sustain because you just got this job, but you've had these issues forever. Those types of things.
Right.
So my approach is just a little bit different in that I don't think it's just a talented 10th. It's what Du Bois said 40 years later with a guiding 100, meaning we need to broaden our reach and meet people where they're at, to bring them up to wherever they would like to be or wherever we would like to be as a collective. Yeah. So I'll say that, but I'm definitely appreciative of what the Black man had to say. So hopefully I came in and supported him in a way that enables him to go on out there and be on the front lines.
Yeah. I think you did, Doctor. I think you did. I think you supported the whole overall, to be honest with you. And I thank you for coming up on the panel and being in the audience, and also coming up on the panel and sharing your input, because, you added some perspective to it. And
can I say one last thing, Mel?
Yes, indeed, you may.
So in essence, my whole approach to addressing Black issues is one from love, because I'm a part of it. I'm not looking down on it. I'm not just an anomaly in it, because I come from a history of astute Black women, whether they were credentialed or not.
Right.
I didn't just pop up.
Come on.
My body is a walking history of histories. So I look at myself in the mirror a lot more critically than I do with the finger pointing and looking outward. So that's what I'm saying. Claud Anderson's book, in some degree, is a lot of finger pointing. And my thing is, brother, you've been here for almost a century, because he is an older brother, and I have no disrespect to him, at all. Sure. But let's talk to me about what you've done and how it worked where you are. Don't give me these grandiose plans that sound good, but they're not practical.
Wow.
The end. Mic drop.
Right.
The Black man and the Black woman, we will go forth as allies, not adversaries.
Right. Let me see. Where's my doorbell chime at? Let me see. Is this it? There you go. There you go. Say what you say? Okay.
Absolutely.
You know what? Listen, I'm almost floored. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm almost floored of these perspectives that both you, Dr. Nikki, and JV have given regarding this book from Claud Anderson. I'm damn near tripping. And the main reason is because I feel like after, in reading one of his books, the first book of his I read was Black Labor, White Wealth. And I appreciated how he actually was able to label the problems. And something you said that I think is very poignant, Doctor, is that, the book is an old book. It's an older book, and it was written using statistics and scenarios that were present, in 2001, but they're not present now. And so it's hard to kind of bridge it all together and make it relevant for today.
Absolutely.
But for those of us who've been looking at this issue and trying to figure out this issue, I'm like, well, damn, why can't we never get it together? To me, it's been an eye opener because Dr. Claud Anderson has said, here's a problem, here's an issue, here's the issue, and these are the things that are getting in the way. So from that respect, I've been able to appreciate his style and his approach to outlining these things. So JV, the brother, doctor, he's got something else he wants to share. Go ahead, JV. You got it.
Yeah, so I'm not dumping on Claude Anderson.
No.
He's my and I think he spoke in good faith, but I think he's a victim of what he's accusing us of. That is a white supremacist narrative. And somehow he got caught in that our behavior patterns is an indicator for why we've been locked out. Because all through his years, it's constantly exclusion. That is the strategy of white supremacy. Exclude us. It's not about calling us niggers or whatever else. We just didn't have the resources, taxation or representation. We got nothing from sharecropping throughout Jim Crow. Like, they never paid us.
We got equality.
Or whatever they gave us. They listen, like, they never gave us the ability to create our infrastructure to defend ourselves against this trash, this garbage. So what he was saying during his time is real and based on his information. Now we've updated the information. There are no sacred cows. I mean, 50 years from now, I want people to say JV didn't have it totally right. He missed the mark.
Sure.
Like, we've got to constantly update this information. There's nothing wrong with that. But he tried during that time, that made sense. But now we're not even just reading Claude Anderson. We're reading everything.
Right.
The information is coming fast. It's coming in rapid speed. And we're dissecting the system. That respectable politics is not it. That is not it. No, That's not how this thing works.
Okay, that's fine. I'm A. DP, the cable guy, you got the mic. What's up? Thanks for pulling up.
Yeah. I agree with Dr. Claude Anderson, and I feel like his information can translate to today. I think I've just recently read it over the past 2 years myself, and it changed my life. So he wrote it in 2001. It almost felt like he was reading the future. He had a crystal ball underneath his hand as he was reading.
Yeah.
I feel like we are intelligent enough, especially in the information age, where we can now implement the newer the error to fit more or less what he's doing. Because I think I did it. I used his ideas to really make a 360 change in my whole life, and it has helped me articulate different ideas, maybe in small bits and pieces to the people around me, my friends and people I grew up with. But it definitely showed the impact. He talked about the fact that in disciplining when we talking, we gotta remember his background in the military and him working directly under presidents and for different campaigns. He understands power, and he understands that you have to learn how to punish your enemies and reward your allies. A lot of our people since the beginning of slavery had been I think it was manumission. It's a word.
Yeah, manumissions.
He talked about like that. That was the whole system that they created. He calls them sambos. But that's a system and a tool that white supremacy have used for time, and then it does ultimately, comes down to the will or the spirit of a man to either to be tempted by the devil and and bite the apple or not. You know what I'm saying? And now we're coming up with this consciousness, and we're seeing where people in certain positions are undermining our development in society. And I came from the underbelly. I came from all of that shit. So I'm not going to I don't believe every player should get a trophy on the team. I feel like you gotta look and actually evaluate, what's what you're doing good and doing bad. And if you are making decisions that, you know, for your own personal benefit that's going to undermine society, you got to be held accountable. I think that's what he means when he says that, when he talks about disciplining the people, and because it's a code that he has this set.
Right.
And then, you know, some people will pick it up, some won't. It won't happen overnight. Won't have, you know, some people will get left behind. We understand that.
Yeah.
But as long as you stay consistent on pushing the code and rewarding and punishing accordingly, you know, doing more closing, you know, like the other coaches, they got areas where they, you know, what do you call it? When they use their language barriers to cut everybody else out of society, those are just strategies that won't work unless we have certain codes in place,
right?
And people are held accountable, and you know.
Well, yeah. Well, let me hit it with the only male Cruz show mic drop sound effect. Hold on. Because I think you said a thing there, DP. I think you said a thing, DP, for real. Because and it's interesting that your viewpoint and the way you interpret the writings of Dr. Claud Anderson are completely different from JV's point. I think we're in two different places in line, and then also what the doctor, you know, how she came in and really supported what JV was saying. And either way, just for full disclosure, nobody on the panel is disparaging Dr. Claud Anderson. I think we're all coming in to what he's talking about from very different perspectives, and I think we identify with them, and some we find more value in than we don't. Doctor, looks like you unmuted. Was there something you was going to add to the convo?
I just wanted to add that, yeah, I am disparaging this man. I don't know this dude. I can talk shit about his work, and I'm stop.
You're fine. You're fine. Thank you for being
clear. I'm just kidding. But when you put something out for public, you know, consumption, you lend it to this type of chopping it up. Yeah, so it's not about that. It's about, again, we're discussing something that's 20 years old. Right. So although I'm grateful that the brother is, you know, now meeting, you know, with Claud Anderson's work, and, you know, it sparked a change in his life, and you want to do a 180. You don't want to do a 360, because 360 means you're right back where you started. 180 means you have turned completely around. So we don't want to go around telling people we do 360s, right, unless you're on the basketball court. But yeah, so think about it. We're not the only one reading his stuff. So if people are just now, you know, the book sales, and, you know, we're being monitored with everything that we do and scrutinized. So if people seeing that now there's an upsurge, then it kind of reaffirms that we're still behind.
Oh yeah.
So if they're saying that, okay, they're reading Claude McKay, I'm just saying hypothetically, they're reading Claude McKay's book, and it was published in 2000, and, you know, because black folks don't read, you know, they reading 20-year-old books, so they ain't gonna be nowhere near ready to deal with what we're doing to them now, and then 20 years from now, because it's only a select few that will pick up that book and say, okay, this was a good read. Now where are we today?
Yeah.
And that the problems that he talked about are circuitous, in that we know until things are resolved that they're going to come back around. So he's not talking about problems that Frederick Douglass hadn't talked about, that Carter G. Woodson hadn't talked about, that Du Bois hadn't talked about, that Walker hadn't talked about, you know, that Washington hadn't talked about, so on and so forth. So he's not saying anything new. It's just new to you.
Okay. And you know what? Hey, listen, I'm loving this panel today, because I'm going to say this to you. I agree with you, Doctor. I agree with Dr. Nikki. I agree with everything you said. And the only difference in what Dr. Claud Anderson is talking about now, and you're right, it's not what nobody else hasn't talked about. It's the fact that he is offering a plan. Now, others didn't have a plan. They talked about it. They didn't have a plan. Now, this is some deep stuff to digest. Shout out to the Shonda. Wait, hold on just 1 minute, DP the Cable Guy. I need to shout out the Sean David Way Show. I love you too, Sean David Way. And I have to tell you, y'all follow Sean David Way on YouTube. And Sean David Way, you got this new phrase. You coined this new phrase. I love it. I got to start saying it. What is it? Yada de yada de yada. Yada de yada. And you heard it first from Sean David Way Show. I got to start using it. I love how you be saying that, Sean.
Oh, Sean is absolutely a beautiful spirit.
Ain't he? He is the
I'm a moderator over there too, but I be in the clouds.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we love him, some of him. But the point is that, yes, it's been brought up. Other people have talked about it. Dr. Claud Anderson, however, is offering a strategy. Not only that, but in his idea, his plan, he has stated back in 2001, he goes, the PowerNomics vision is a Black America that is politically and economically self-sufficient and competitive by the year 2005. In the previous show, we determined that that's just 4 years. This is a 4-year plan that could be put into place. And one thing the Cable Guy said that I wholeheartedly agree with it to the point of, is the man said some of this stuff was prophetic. And I do agree with that. So, DP, you had something that you wanted to say, and then JV, you do have your hand up, so let's hear what you're talking about as well after DP. Go ahead, DP.
Okay, just two things. One, like another, a good example of what Dr. Claud Anderson had presented was the growth of China. Mm-hmm. To where we look in the 1979 when they might have been just as down bad as we are now, and how they were able to use that PowerNomics strategy to make a 180. I'm sorry, on their entire economy, and almost take over the world with that strategy. 30 years later, 40 years later, yeah, 40 years and some change. But the other point to that was I'm a low voltage technician, so I do so when I troubleshoot devices, when we got if something is broke, like a cash register or some type of internet device or something like that, I have to look from the end, and you have to almost read the story from the end to the beginning to find the problem. And if you start today and then you look and go back 20 years to Dr. Claud Anderson's book, you start to see that his book aligns exactly the points of the issues that we have that's preventing us from making that 180 change. That's why it's so important to really focus on that point. And I say that he's the only one that said it, but I just, like you said, he developed a book with a solution. Right. Like the first book was, okay, this is the issue. This is what happened. This is the receipt. And the next book was, okay, this is how we're going to solve that problem. This is how we're going to make the change regardless of any opposition, how anybody else plans to defend it or defend us. For us to get on the opposition, for us to get on the movement and push, and I feel like, yeah, that's the Bible.
Let me jump in real quick, because Tatiana Harris in the YouTube is saying that now it's India. India will be the next superpower. And I will say that if we were to jump in all of a sudden and start talking about solutions, and for a group, a race, a culture of people, here are the solutions to our problems, y'all. And people are listening from different levels. They're listening from different places in this fight. And if we haven't laid it out clearly and said, hey, this is a problem, this is an issue, this is a behavioral tactic, or this, that, and that. If we haven't outlined that for the people to get into it and understand it, then we say, oh, here's the solution. Everybody do this. What's going to make everybody we're not on the same page? So to me, it's beneficial for Dr. Claud Anderson, as painful as it is to read, hear, and acknowledge. It's imperative that he lays it out, one, so that we can identify the people who are playing the Sambo, quote unquote, in the negative sense, the Sambo role, okay, who are playing the Cancun role, so we can outline that immediately, if not sooner, and move around them. I want to read.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So to me, that's one of the benefits of Dr. Claud Anderson's book. It ain't nice. This ain't no honeymoon action, but it's definitely, according to his game plan, we could be on a honeymoon in 4 years if we were to follow the game plan. Something else Doctor has said about they were monitored and everybody knows what we're doing. So now everybody knows we're reading this PowerNomics from Claud Anderson. But check this piece out. And shout out to Black State Migration and Black American Homeland in the Twitter sphere. Let me read this real quick. It says here that, let me just start here. While Black Americans are fighting the battles of civil rights for everybody, it says, these two authors explain that Hispanics are working to have cultural rights equated to Blacks' legal rights. Jeffrey Fox, in his book, Hispanic Nation, proclaimed that a new ethnic identity is being constructed in the United States made up of Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and all other Spanish-speaking groups that will surpass Blacks in population and change. And that will surpass Blacks in population and change the political focus from Black and white to white and Hispanic. Their vision is to achieve economic and political power over major geographic areas of the United States, especially the southwestern and southeastern states. Whether Jews, European whites, or Hispanics, all of these groups have used their group vision to move their people. The collective vision is in the mind's eye of the group, and it plays a vital role in guiding the group's behavior. Our national empowerment vision will function the same way. It will be used to focus our attention, give us a single-minded purpose, and serve as a template for decision-making and establish group direction. For example, when Black America is asked then, which way is north? They will not all point in different directions. Their direction will be anchored in reality. Black America must have a vision that describes what Black people need and what they are capable of becoming by a specific year in the future. In order not to be pie in the sky, the vision must be linked to a realistic plan. And again, to me, this substantiates what Dr. Claud Anderson is saying, in that, one, we all got to be on the same page. How we get there, it is what it is, but we got to be on the same page. Two, to Dr. Nikki's point about this new Puerto Ricans, Blacks, or Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Cubans, and the vision for them is to hit up on the geographic areas, specifically the southwestern and southeastern states. Black American homeland and Black state migration, we're talking about specific states. So that is a game plan that's in the mix. The question is, how are we going to make that happen if we're not all on the same page? So shout out to It's Just Jules. Thank you for pulling up. We love some Sean David Way Show, baby. So thank you for pulling up. JV, you got the mic. Go ahead and say your piece, sir.
Thank you for your grace and allowing me to express myself. I just wanted to explain. This is not an attempt to disparage Claud Anderson, but this is similar to peer review, and it's something that we read it's not on point. We have to interact with that. I think he did hit it right, though, right? I think he's building into something right. He did that also initially. He said we have to have our own central politics. I agree with that. Now he's saying other people have their own central interests, and I think so. He saw it before it happened. That literally happened right now. So he could chew the meat, spit out the bones. I'm not throwing Claud away.
Oh, no.
The book is going to develop, and I know he had like a 4-tier system where the stairway thing, and that might make sense. I'm only speaking about respectability politics. Like the brother said, he does troubleshoot, and when you troubleshoot, you have to look at the initial part of it to find out what's going on at the end part, the output. But if you look at the input and you don't get that correct, you're not going to figure out the output. So I think there's something wrong. If you feel like, well, the wire is not feeding, and you say that's the answer, well, what about the transformer? Isn't the transformer supposed to dump down or transform the energy down to that feed? I think that's essentially what Claud is doing. He's looking at the wire, saying the wire is just not feeding energy. No, the wire is not being fed, period. It's the transformer. And that's a comparison of respectability politics. What Black people need to do is historically incorrect. We have been organizing. We've been formalizing. We are the example of organization. Our mutual aid is an example of organization. Our Black AME Church is an example of Black organization. This is respectability politics and minority. What's that minority thing that they talk about? Model minority thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't compare our position or our experience to anybody else because they don't share the same experience as us. So, yeah, again, the sister woke it up. We're low hanging fruit. We're down, dumb it down, and we're doing a discredit to all our great people who put so much time, effort, pain, and commitment into our struggle, and they did organize, and we're still organized, regardless of what you might see on Twitter or whatever else. That's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, JV. I appreciate it. And I agree with you. Listen, I don't disagree with you in anything you've said. I will say this, and this is me. I'm going to say this. Yeah, we've organized, but we still ain't organized ourselves even into this 4-year plan. But I think because we've not had the tools is what I want to say at this point. But let me get to this part a little bit. We're gonna wrap up pretty soon. But I'm gonna read this part real quick right here. It says, therefore, we alone as Black Americans must now construct our own culture of empowerment. I don't think that's something that has been communicated. I think that if we were to say, hey, what does our own culture of empowerment look like for Black Americans? We'd have a variety of answers. And just like in the other piece I read where it goes, where Dr. Claud Anderson is saying, if we get our shit together, when we ask a Black American what direction is north, we won't all be pointing in different directions. So he goes, therefore, we alone as Black Americans must now construct our own culture of empowerment. We cannot be empowered by reading the role others have written for us. To improve our condition and empower our team, we must rewrite our own script. We must construct and institutionalize a culture that is based on pragmatism and group strengths that generate sustained high levels of intergroup trust and group pride. How do we do this? Those are some things that, let's be honest, and Doctor, I want you to come off the mic. Do you think that we've got intergroup trust, group pride? Do you think we've rewritten our script? Are we all following the same script as our culture, as a race of people at this point?
Okay, so this is, again, I am so thankful for this, opportunity to be able to speak on these matters. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. Yes, we can.
Okay, so one of the issues that we have as a people is that we're looking for a sovereign leader. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by this is like, okay, and this is no disrespect to you or the panel, whatever. It's just an observation, because we generally do this as, as Black people. We'll take one book and we'll say, okay, this is the book. Mm-hmm. Not what is this person saying and his contemporaries, and then have a conversation juxtaposing these ideas to find out if, on a collective, what are these people saying who are talking about the same situation that would work for us where we are, given that in different geographic locations and accessibility and so on and so forth, the tools that we have access for, or what have you. So how can we make this work for the greater good of people? Claude McKay is not saying anything new. What he's saying with this whole thing about Black empowerment, that's the whole Black Power movement. That's the Black Panther Party's 10-point plan. They're saying that every single institution, like hospital, banking, leasing, so on and so forth, he said that Black folks need to have their own to service their communities. And they call for an establishment of that. That's nothing new. Nothing new. They were trying to do it in Cuba. They were trying to do it over as these African countries were becoming emancipated not emancipated, but what's the word? Gaining their independence in the late 80s. All of these things. This is nothing new. I'm telling you, my honest and most critical and compassionate observation of this book is the lack of an execution plan. You can tell, if I'm a drug addict, I know to get clean, I need to stop.
Right.
I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to start if this has been a habit for me for so long, because people are not considering my insides and the fact that I still do these drugs because I'm trying to just stay healthy. I don't even get high anymore.
Right.
So this is why we have rehab centers and 90-day plans and so on and so forth. And my thing is this. if this plan was like so spot on, and I'm just going to jump out there and say it because what we're having is called academic discourse. This is what you do when you are intellectually digesting someone's critical work.
There you go.
If it would have worked back in 2005, this was long before the economic downturn.
Sure.
You know, why do we not see instances or pockets of where this was successful?
Okay, so now,
so do you mean to tell me? So okay, I didn't mean to cut you off. So you mean to tell me that Claude McKay, who's written and published these books and well respected, and so on and so forth, couldn't get a group of people to say, "Hey, try what I'm saying, and let's look at it."
Right.
Because in research, we do it all the time.
Right. So now let me jump in because I'm cutting you off. I'm interrupting you, Doctor. And listen.
No, I'm done.
But I think listen. I thank you so much. Your contribution to this conversation is really it's empowering, and what it's really doing is just putting the rubber to the road and the metal to the pedal. That's what's however they say that.
Here's the thing. That's where you'll find me, where the rubber meets the road.
There you go. Now here's the thing. We may not know. Okay, couple things. One, I do agree with you in the drug addict analogy that you created. I think that again, we're only in chapter 2 of this particular book. We're just not there yet, and I don't think that I haven't found any multiple examples where Dr. Claud Anderson has said where he's listed people who have put his plan into action and have become successful with it. All right. But let's keep this in mind. His plan is not just for a few. And there are some who say, oh, okay, Dr. Claude says I should do this. So let me, implement and execute what I can within my own small circle in order to be participating in this PowerNomics. Let me, buy black. Let me keep my dollar in the black community. Let me not be none of these negative behavioral, what did you call them? Behavioral traits, whatever it was, inappropriate behaviors. Let me make sure I'm not any of that. Let me check myself. Let me step away from people who do operate within the inappropriate behavioral tactics. But his plan is for for us as a people on a large scale. His plan is for us to have group tanks that are strategizing and putting plans in place. So that's the only reason why I think we haven't seen this major wave. But you're right. This was written before the 2008 economic downturn. And unfortunately, we don't know who, and I wish if somebody did that, we don't know who implemented, executed anything from any of his books and found themselves on the winning side as a result of that.
I do.
Yeah, go ahead, DP. Go ahead. Saw your hand. Go ahead. What's up, sir?
Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins. Him and his team, he has multiple different professionals, black professionals that has implemented strategies by focusing on different industries to dominate. Like you said, we're in the second chapter of the book now, so we're not going to get to that. But we will get to that when they start talking more about the vertical integration and start explaining on how you can actually take over industries and pretty much dominate it from the beginning to the end phase of each industry.
And let me ask you this question, DP, since you just brought that up. And so do you, what are your thoughts? And JV and Doctor, you guys can chime in on it too. I think that right now we are more woke, quote unquote, than ever. We are so spot on it now than ever. In 2008, it was all good. In 2004 and 2005, we weren't open. And that's why a lot of us became victims of that predatory lending. Because we weren't.
Julian Gordon, they bought $245 million, $250 million worth of real estate as a collective. You can Google that and see it. It's underneath Dr. Claude. Boyce Watkins, a dedicated mentee under Dr. Claude Anderson. another point I wanted to
Yes, I'm
express
sorry
to
because I did
is
cut
not
you off.
he doesn't have the only book either.
Right.
I think for me, I was able to get the code, the compensatory code by Nearly
Nearly
Fuller
Fuller.
Jr. It goes hand in hand
Right.
with the PowerNomics ideology.
Sure. Sure.
Wilson, Francis Crest
Sure.
Wilson
Yeah.
also book, the ISIS paper. That's
Right.
another good book that goes hand in hand with it is a bunch of collection of books, which is why this is why I feel like we're so special as a people, because we do have that pure truth of us and the pursuit of true justice.
Sure.
It's just something that we the only ones in history that were our lineage was able to push, because everybody else has to defend white supremacy. So I think there are collections of books that we could also add to that conversation. But I do hold that PowerNomics as a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too. And Doctor, I appreciate you, Doctor. I really do, because girl, you keep it a whole 100. And so right now, our focus right now is on Dr. Claud Anderson. But I'll tell you this, JV has been reading, I don't know who the author is. I think, what is it called? The Red, what is it, JV? Red Dawn?
Red Summer?
Yeah, Red Summer. Thank you, Jara. Thank you. Yeah, Red Summer. So I think what we're doing, and here's what I like. I like the fact that we are able to compile an understanding of perspective from one particular notable author, find out what his position is, and then when other individuals like JV, for example, and there's a couple other people, and when they're presenting their books or whatever, where we're able to, or even in just other discourse, we're able to say, well, wait a minute, here's a perspective from this viewpoint. So I think this is more, and that's why it really is a book discussion, because nobody's wrong, if you will. It's an opportunity for all of us to just kind of share our perspective on how we understand the content. Like, for example, Doctor, you've given some great analogy and overview from your point of view. Jara, you're on the stage and you don't have your hand up, but what's up? I'm so glad you're here. Anything you want to contribute to the convo?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah,
Hey.
sure. I'm listening in right now. JV shared his face to me, and when I saw PowerNomics, Dr. Claud Anderson, I said, okay, I like this. I've kind of read a lot of excerpts from his book. Haven't actually, read it fully in totality. I watched a lot of interviews with him speaking on it and some of the aspects of him promoting his book. Hour-long talks with Claud Anderson I've had a chance to watch, but I'd love to download maybe the audio version if I have a chance, because I probably listen to it while I'm working out and stuff. But seems like they have a lot of strategies and techniques. But I do feel like they're very applicable. Like, there's things that you could literally do right now in that book.
Yeah, totally agree. Thank you for that. Libby Lou in the YouTube streets is saying that most Black people have to start at ground zero with finances so that we can be progressive collectively, build emergency fund, financial literacy, life insurance. Then we can build. Girl, Libby Lou, go on and speak that. That's the truth. I mean, we do have to start somewhere, but I got to tell you, the most respect I have are for the dissenting voices, are for the people who are saying, man, no. And like Doctor said, this is a critical analysis of this particular work from Dr. Claud Anderson. We're chopping this up and we're finding what we agree with, don't agree with, middle of the road with, haven't really made a decision on yet. And all that is beneficial for us in the long run. JV, you got your hand up. What's up, sir?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We sure can.
Yeah, so I hate that I'm busy. I got to like.
Sound like you? Are you back on your speakers on your headphone again, JV? Because you're not. Yeah, come back in for us real good and clear. While you're making that switch, let me read this part right here, and then you can chime in on part two. Okay, so Black people's culture. Well, hold on, wait. To improve our condition and empower our team, we must rewrite our own script. We must construct and institutionalize a culture that is based on pragmatism and group strengths that generate sustained high levels of intergroup trust, group pride. How do we do this? Black people's culture must psychologically and emotionally elevate them and give them grounds to be confident and proud people. It should promote the ethic that Blacks are a very special people. Blacks are the original people on the earth. In this country, they are the only non-immigrants. Blacks should be proud of and promote the fact that they have a natural talent for generating music, dance, and language. They have extraordinary emotional and physical strength that took them through 300 years of slavery and Jim Crow and allows them to dominate in nearly all the sports they are allowed to enter. Black slaves were noted for their ability to perform hard work. Blacks should adopt and inculcate a hard work ethic into their empowerment culture. Prior to their enslavement, Blacks were a strong communal society that believed in the concept and the value of an extended family. Black Americans have made the most spectacular educational achievement on earth. After 300 years of slavery and forced illiteracy, they reduced their illiteracy rate by half within 30 years. And amazingly, they educated themselves during an oppressive and deprived period during Reconstruction. No other racial or ethnic group can legitimately make such a claim. These spectacular accomplishments in education must be used as benchmarks that today's Black students can reach as we endeavor to create new educational models based on our new empowerment plan. Blacks should build their empowerment culture around their characteristics listed in bold type. These cultural elements would build group confidence, self-esteem, and prepare Blacks to cope with reality. There it is. This is some of the stuff when we're saying, oh, he's negative. He just hit some highly powerful positive pieces. And those are the things that are in bold. You got it, JV.
Oh, shit. Oh, excuse me. JV, you mind if I just
jump on in, Jar. You got it. Go ahead.
Okay, really quick. I was just going to say, when I think about that, to thrive that long during, and survive all these years of this attempt to try to, subdue us and try to, essentially commit genocide on us, you have to have a rebellious nature. You have to be rebellious in your nature, right? You have to be resilient. And that's also one of our characteristics. And that's why sometimes when it comes to, discussing tactics and strategies and how to deal with white, I would say that anti-Black racism that comes from white people. One of the ways I think about in terms of just letting our people know that, let's say, for instance, when we're dealing with, when we're dealing with, this white supremacy propaganda, right? And they're trying to, they look at our where we become a collective, or wherever we group up and we start to unify. I like to point out their attack strategies and how they try to prevent us from coming together in such ways, because I feel like it will trigger our rebellious nature to say, "Hey, nah, I'm not going to let you do that," and that's good to trigger our rebellious nature. And I think that's why it's good to point out sometimes their tactics and their strategies, not to just complain or talk about it, to actually to trigger within us that rebellious spirit that we typically that we tend to have, which is to go against that, right? So when I look at like churches, for instance, I'm not, as religious as maybe some people might be, but I will say that I can recognize that when Black people go to worship, whether it's Islam or Christian or wherever it is, they're very dedicated, and there's a strong form of unity there. And, we respect those leaders in those communities. And if we look back, even the 80s and 90s and just throughout the years, whenever we have any kind of places or any ways where people take time out of their schedule where Black people take time out of their schedule to come together and congregate and unite and kind of, empower each other, they try to attack that with propaganda. They'll try to, put some of the mainstream pastors on media for some reason. They'll look at some humane flaw that one of them may have, a divorce or an affair or something, and they'll put it on the media over and over and over again to try to get us to distrust our leaders, to get us to distrust our organizations and our groups. And they do that with any kind of organization we have. I just wanted to point out that attack strategy in terms of trying to, anytime we collect or we start to become collective and we start to work together, the I don't know what to call it, but I would say like
dominant society.
yeah, the dominant society in this group, or the predominant society in this group, where they have the predominant numbers. They tend to group up against us, and I don't want to keep going out of length, but they group up against us, and they'll use every tactic. They'll use TV, movies, media. They'll use, they'll rewrite history books.
They'll use laws. They'll use law against us.
They'll use laws, right? Change laws, anything to disrupt your gathering.
Right.
Somebody actually on here, I am Money. I think she did something similar to like that. I think it was a while back. She mentioned, and I'm going to close it with this. She did something where she created this Facebook group, and I forgot what it was called. It was Black Unity. I forgot the name of it. I am Money. And she was gathering. It became popular. A lot of Black people were joining the group and coming to her house, and they were helping each other and sharing ideas and starting to help the community. And they attacked her. Police would park outside of her home.
Oh, wow.
They would start to try to break it up. It was very hostile. It became very hostile for her. And she was sharing the story with me and JV. And I just noticed that, just recognize that you're going in the right direction. Whenever they start the harassment, and when I say they, I'm referring to people that indulge in this, this white supremacist, fictitious ideology, people who engage in that anti-Black racial terrorism. Sure. When they start engaging in that, just know you're going in the right direction and don't fear, because you're going in the right direction. You're going to create discomfort. When you begin to unify and do what you're supposed to do, you're going to create discomfort, and they're going to try to stop you. So keep going.
Amen. Thank you for that, Yara. Just to reset the room real quick, y'all, my YouTube channel is in the Jumbotron. Please subscribe. I'm not going to get rich overnight if you subscribe to my channel today. We want to keep it in the algorithm so that we can get more informed and more informed voices to contribute to the conversation, because everybody that comes up on the panel, we learn something new. We get a different perspective. We're challenged in our thinking. In the YouTube, I've got Dr. Nikki Walden Pratt on the, wait a minute, let me make sure I'm saying the name right, Doc. Because I sure don't want to say your name incorrectly.
Dr. Nikki's right, fine. Just
thank you, Dr. Nikki. I got Dr. Nikki on the YouTube panel, who has she's placed some challenging perspectives out here, y'all. And it's kind of almost in agreement with kind of like what JV's saying. So, but that's a good thing, because there's growth there, and we have to deal with the reality of the things. And it's perspectives that we may not have been looking at had they not said what they did say. So hit the YouTube link, subscribe to the channel. And once you subscribe, stay subscribed. Let's get the channel to grow. Again, I'm not going to get rich tonight just because you subscribe today. Also, we're over here on Twitter. And I've got Libby Lou, who said, don't block me, sis, but F them churches. We give more to the churches who deposit that money into a white bank than we give to ourselves. 10% to a church when you don't have a 401k is asinine. I mean, you know what? That's one hell of a perspective, Libby Lou. And we should be requiring more out of our churches when it comes to the predicament that Black America is in. JV, your hand is up. And then I also see Tex, your hand is up. So JV, let's hear from you. And then Tex will hear from you. And then we'll kind of get back into this chapter and wrap it up pretty soon. Go ahead, JV. You got
I want to chime in too.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Dr. Nikki. You go ahead and then we'll go to JV.
No, I can wait my turn. As I said, I follow behind the Black man. Go ahead.
There you go. All right. Go ahead, JV. You got it.
Damn, I love this lady right here.
I taught her everything she knows. Okay, now I'm lying.
So let me not be a dissenting voice. Let's do what we do know. And I'm glad I went before Dr. Nikki, because she reminded me about the Black Panther Party. That was a very pivotal organization in our historical narrative. And their position wasn't just feeding children and disrupting. They had plans of unification, solidarity. These are some very intelligent brothers. If you will examine them and do a research on them, they had a very sophisticated plan for collectivism. We do know that. We know other groups like the movement out of Philly, like them or not, that still was collectivism. The other unseen groups that do collectivism. Our mutual aid, I'm going to say it again, our mutual aid was our mainstay through 400 to 500 years to sustain people under atrocity, under human bondage. That is collectivism. I guess in your personal life, you have, maybe you don't know, but you have silent contributors. You're not moving around in your cities, your states, your industries, your corporations without having people putting things together to protect you. We have these nonprofits. People are working hard to protect us. They put out information. We have sociologists. We have it's so many people. I just think, while knowing that, I don't know if I could position myself to say this is what we need to do while we have always been doing that. I don't think that's appropriate.
Well,
I think it's
okay. All right, JV.
I want to keep losing the mic. I'm going to be done.
Okay.
I just want to be clear on that, and I want to just speak to I think one of the sisters said we need collective progressivism, and I think although Claude has given us some good examples of individualizing, he's interchanging. He is saying we need to be self-interest politically, but also we need to do collectivism. It's very dismissive. Why? Because, like Gerard said, there's constant disruption. He gave the example of this sister. She did something out in her city, and she was antagonized by the police department. We have a whole wing of government of the COINTELPRO. Their main objective is to disrupt Black unity, Black organization. Like, this is a thing. So we can't say one thing without recognizing the other thing. Again, I think it's dismissive. I think it's self-loathing. I don't think it really interacts with the reality.
Okay, so here's my thing. But so here's my thing. Here's my thing. Because here's what I need to have. Here's where I'm missing the boat then. Because if it's all that what you're saying, and I'm going to say this, and we're going to go to text, and we'll go to Dr. Nikki, and then we're going to go to you, Brother Muko. Okay, here's the thing. If from your premise, JV, if we're already doing everything that Dr. Claud Anderson is saying, and the only thing that's different is Dr. Claud Anderson is highlighting, areas where we're problematic at, then where is the benefit of our collective work? Because if you say, well, we're already doing all that, and that's why we got what we got going on now, but now is not sufficient. What we have now as a community, as a culture, is not sufficient. I said, this show is
that's the problem, right? That's the problem right there. The disruption. I don't think we want to interact with that. It's like we're trying to cope without recognizing the disruption. Without the disruption, we would already scale. We're doing these things, so stop telling me I'm not doing it. It's like telling your child, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Well, the conditions don't allow him to be good.
But are we doing them? Are we doing them? And you probably can't really answer this question because we haven't gotten to this part in this, and shared with the audience yet. But are we doing it on the scale and to the level that Dr. Claud Anderson has proposed in his work? That's the thing.
I'm going to leave it right here.
Okay.
JV, I think we can just do this one, please. Let me do this one thing. 2008, we had a bunch of homeowners, primarily our grandmothers, our church ladies. They scaled without any government help. They were able to buy homes they had good credit, they had good savings. How did they do that with no government help? They put their nickels together. That's the example. So, I'm not even going to belabor that point. I'm sorry, Gerard. Go ahead.
No. What I was just trying to say was that I think the point you're trying to make is we are coming up with solutions to continue to build. But I'm going to be honest with you. I've yet to hear and rarely hear development of plans, how to curb or how to interact with or try to fight against the disruption and that kind of behavior.
Right.
What is you can work very hard and try to outwork your, opponents, enemies, and people, I don't know if they're called,
right.
But just sabotage artists or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
You can work around everything, but if you're running a race and people just keep, throwing oil on the track and trying to trip you, at some point you might have to come off the track and
whoop some ass.
Address address the disruptor. I'm gonna say it like that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, is there anybody here who maybe has a plan to actually interact with the disruptor?
Okay, so
I don't hear that very often.
I want to think, and I have to say this because I haven't finished this whole book. We haven't gotten to that part in the book yet, so we're going to find out. Dr. Nikki, unmute your mic, and what do you have to say, ma'am? Please share.
Well, first and foremost, I proudly say with audacity that I am a disruptor. Everywhere I go, I disrupt the status quo, and it's on purpose. I don't do it by mistake. If something is not right, I will speak on it, which is why I'm labeled as the angry black woman. And I said, if that's what you have to call me, that's fine. But this is what's not going down here while I'm here.
Right.
So I have no problem. We need more disruptors. Okay. So the other thing that I just wanted to say is that if Dr. Boyce Watkins is your only example of the work that you've done, and you've been in the White House and you've written all these books, and you have failed miserably, because Dr. Boyce Watkins came to him as Dr. Boyce Watkins. He is a capitalist. I could give a damn about what Dr. Boyce Watkins has done, because if you have a price tag associated with it, then it's about you, not me. And I'm gonna leave that at that. And that's all I wanted to say, because again, I'm gonna go dust off my copy of Claud Anderson's book so that I can continue in this discussion.
Sure, absolutely. And no, I appreciate the contribution so much. I mean, I love it. I'm
But I mean that.
Right.
I can name 20 to 30 students that, I have shown enough, kept in contact with over the 20 years that I've been teaching and impacted their family. I've been to their weddings. They have children named after me. I got god kids everywhere. Wow. I've inspired their families to come to college, all this other. If Dr. Boyce Watkins is the measurement of your matrices, you have failed.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like Boyce Watkins might have helped really change the shift of culture over the past.
He is not a shapeshifter.
I've seen the difference. I've seen people talking more about financial literacy, rapping about it in music, hip hop.
They're not doing it because of Boyce Watkins.
Influencers like Kanye West, Ice Cube.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna mute my mic.
Yeah, they all put all of his the content into the national forefront. I mean, I can name other people that I know.
Well, DP, let me put it like this, DP. You threw a name out there. You did better than me because you had a name to throw out. And again, to be honest with you, there is no right and wrong. And Tex, you're going to come up right next. Just stand fast real quick. There's really no right and wrong, because what somebody's going to get out of what you just added to the conversation, DP, about Dr. Boyce Watkins is going to make somebody go look Boyce Watkins up. Here's one. You understand what I'm saying? So ultimately, this conversation, this space, is providing us with an opportunity as individuals to become informed about one particular topic. We just so happen to be using Dr. Claud Anderson's PowerNomics as the book that we're discussing now, and the concepts and the principles that he believes are appropriate and accurate and necessary for us as Black Americans to succeed in life.
Absolutely. And Mel, if I could say one more thing.
Yes.
What I wanted to say is that based on what some of the other gentlemen have said, they mentioned like church leaders and all these other types of things. Right. These are people who are self-appointed. What Black folks are missing is Black leadership as an entity. Right. Not because what we have is people who are just leading Blacks.
Right.
I don't know any of these people. Right. I wouldn't have any of these people, speaking for me. I would follow behind JV before I would, some of these other, mega pastors and so on and so forth.
Right.
Because as I say, anytime you attach money to things, it changes the game and conversation. I come to you all as somebody who owes more money in student loans than I could ever pay back. Like, I might have to die twice.
Right.
But I'm still doing the work because money doesn't move me. If what I'm doing is righteous and it doesn't take from other people and it pushes people forward, the money always comes.
Amen. Hold
Can I respond 10 seconds?
Well, wait. Hold on, y'all. Hold on real quick. I got Tech's been up here with the hand up, and I got to hear what Tex has to say, and then we're going to hit Brother. Wait, give me 1 second. And then I will call you right after him, JV. Go ahead, Tex. What you got to say, sir?
Thank you again, sister, for holding the space.
You're so welcome.
I think, thank you. I think many people overlook Dr. Claud Anderson's emphasis on politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like they go for the do for selfism, the building of the wealth, the financial literacy, but they right on past the political contribution that he was giving us.
Mm-hmm.
The disruptors can only disrupt us because we don't have any political leverage.
Ooh.
We have potential leverage that we haven't used, but the government is the disruptor. The government agencies are the disruptor. Whether you're talking about the National Guard that bombed Tulsa, Oklahoma, whether you're talking about policies that undermine us, such as this push to put illegal immigrants on top of us, this is all the disruptor. This is the government, your government. And so
that's terrorism.
She said, Doctor said that's terrorism.
Yep.
Keep on going.
What he's saying, I'm going to follow this brother. He's saying some on point stuff right now. Let me follow.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah, let me get you, man. Yeah, the government is a disruptor.
Yeah.
And you can't build wealth without engaging that disruptor and using leverage to put that dog on the leash. And that's what we must do. Dr. Claud, the only problem I have with Dr. Claud Anderson is when he was talking about we must buy politicians. He's correct. But buying politicians is not our strong suit because a group of billionaires can outspend us. Our power lies in our numbers. The sheer number of black people that the Democratic Party in particular depends on. You can put that dog on a leash and house train it and tell it to stop crapping in your house and eating your furniture. And tell that dog who to protect and who to bite, who to attack. But we let the dog crap all over our house. We let him eat our furniture. We let him be disobedient. He don't even answer when we call his name. We say, Biden, get here, Biden. Biden just go the other way. He ain't paying us no damn attention.
Not the dog's name is Biden.
We put him on a leash. We can put that. Biden, come over here, Biden. Biden, like, who you? Like, he a big rock baller. He ain't paying you no attention.
Right.
But you put some food in front of him every day. You get him a house over his head. Right? You take him to the vet and get his shot. But he ain't paying you no damn attention because you ain't disciplining him.
Right.
You ain't house training him. You ain't sticking his head in his mess when he shits in your house.
Right.
Pardon my French.
Okay.
That's how you house train a dog. That's how you paper train a dog. He's your dog because you have the power to put him on a political leash and dog walk him. Dog walk the Democratic Party. And this is what must be built. But it can't be built without 10,000 new lineage-based institutions in all areas of activity, from local to national. When you do that, when you build those 10,000 lineage-based institutions, from local to national in all areas of activity, you will have a nation within a nation. That's what it is. It's not a separate nation. It's a network of institutions that work together as a mighty fist. And that's what you have to do. But the key is people power. If we organize 40 million black people to exercise real politics, grown-up politics, and transform themselves from lever pullers to actual political activists. Imagine 40 million black people. Instead of waiting for the last day and pulling a lever, they're up in the paint, hard body, putting pressure on politicians the whole political cycle.
Right.
Power.
Now you said
that can nullify the effect of money in the system.
Come on.
Because if you have those many people, at least a critical mass of them, doing politics as adults,
right,
you're going to see all kind of policies coming down the pike for your benefit. You're going to see obstacles moved out the way. You're going to see funding. You're going to see whatever kind of education system you want. You want financial literacy? It's in your public school system, teaching those 14 million families. You ain't got to homeschool your way out of this.
But I'm going to say this to you. Let me jump in. No. You're saying some powerful things there, Tex, and thank you for saying that. And unless or until we get into or buy into the concept of this group vision, group think, group working, we won't, we won't be in a position to explore further ideas like what you are suggesting. JV, I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to read this part first very quickly. To achieve our empowerment culture, our schools, families, and churches will have to mentally prepare our team to take calculated risks. As we travel a new road, we will have many choices to make regarding economic development, politics, education, and our places of worship. Our traditional institutions must accept the double responsibility of educating and psychologically conditioning Blacks to take calculated business risks and compete in areas other than sports and entertainment. Our institutions should help us practice the process of collecting information and assessing it through a set of principles, then making an informed decision, taking a calculated risk. The willingness to risk failure allows the exploration that leads to success. Needless to say, one should never take risks simply for the sake of risk. But, as noted, military strategists once said, as he was preparing to do battle, if you take risks, you may still fail. But if you do not take risks, you will surely fail. JV, your hand is up. You got the mic. Then we're going to hear from Brother Muku. What's up, JV?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to DP, but since Tex went on, I'm going to respond to him too. So I'll go after Brother Muku.
Okay, and then before you go, Brother Muku, Libby Lou in the YouTube channel is saying capitalism is the game. Capitalism is America's God with a low G. Once we understand that, we can stop playing dominoes and play chess. Go ahead, Brother Muku.
What's going on?
What's that, Brother
Thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks for coming.
This is a definite killer book. And I don't know, I guess for anybody that's in the space, y'all can already tell that I'm a supporter of Claud Anderson. Have been for years. I had a hand in bringing him to Baltimore to speak on PowerNomics, which was old news when he came here in 2015. He then wrote the book. I think we sometimes lose focus that Claud Anderson book is about group economics, okay, and a system of white supremacy, okay? This is not the book of justice. This is not how justice is going to be ran. This is not what justice looks like, okay? We are still losing, all of us, even me. Brother Muko is not outside of this shit that I'm about to say. We are all losing at conquering and defeating white supremacy and replacing it with justice. What is justice? Nobody's repeating the compensatory meaning of justice, putting it in the, and I got my air quotation fingers up, in the atmosphere, okay, to make it a reality. But we keep using confusionary language that white supremacy has given us. We have used confusionary tactics given to us by white supremacy and think that we are going to fight our way out of white supremacy. We have to have, first of all, just like my brother mentioned, and I forget which one mentioned, we have to have the appropriate tools. And when we have the appropriate tools and we learn the appropriate things, this is the real hard part, y'all. We gotta start doing the shit over and over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't stop once we get finished reading a book. You know what I'm saying? Somebody mentioned Dr. Cress Welsing and Mr. Fuller's work. You have to know what racism, white supremacy is first and foremost. If you don't know what it is, everything that you know, notice I didn't say everything that you think you know. I said everything that you know will be confusing to you. So you will be talking in circles. You will even be arguing with the same victims instead of fighting the white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? So Claud Anderson's work is on group economics under a system of white supremacy. We have to understand this. And guess what? Things have changed. You know what actually changed? What the hell he was preaching and about that book about immigration and these motherfuckers coming over, taking over our spot. So now we in the fourth position, stuck almost in the fifth position, and we want to say Claud Anderson work is, it's not complete. Of course it's not complete because we didn't actually do the work. You know what I'm saying? Now we have individuals like JV, my brother JV has said. He is correct. We have individuals that have been doing this. My grandmother was one of them grandmothers he was talking about that grabbed her pennies together and bought a house in the system of racism, white supremacy. But you know what she didn't understand? She didn't understand that the same white supremacists that was allowing her to have that property, still controlling her after she bought that property with her pennies. She didn't understand that, I had to destroy that system first in order for my fruit from my labor to be sufficient for me to pass down to my offspring. Because when my grandmother died, guess what went with her? It didn't go immediately with her, but eventually the house went too. And that's because we're in a system of white supremacy that's set up and designed for us to follow a certain pattern, their laws, aka that holds up their order. Okay? This is all about an order. All right? Just like when you got doctors that take a Hippocratic oath, that is an order. They are ordered to manage your pain. They aren't ordered to cure you. You know what I'm saying? So the words are very important, y'all. Words are very important, and along with the words, the actions, the upgrading of the action has to come second, because if it don't, you're just going to be running like a hamster wheel. You know what I'm saying? And this is what's happening today. This is why you got a certain group of us that, it works for me. And then the main group saying, it don't work for us because it's fucked up. Because white supremacy sets it up that way. They're designed they are what Dr. Claud Anderson, not Dr. Claud Anderson, Mr. Fuller says all the time. They fight they fight both sides of every argument. You know what I'm saying? This is what white supremacy does. So if we know that, why not eliminate the system just do away with it and create, and not just create, but operate in your own system. Because see, Fuller said this. He said it's a united, independent compensatory code system. United, but it's independent. That means it takes an independent person first to create a group, which is a group of individuals. And this is what Claud Anderson was talking about, group economics. But you can't exercise group economics if you haven't had the independent part set right first. See, we got a lot of people walking around here don't understand what racism, white supremacy is. So then everything else that they set out to do sets you in a circular motion, and it keeps you running your goddamn track like, goddamn, what am I doing? I'm doing everything. Why ain't I winning?
Right.
But we got to be honest with ourselves. And that's what Claud Anderson was talking about too, about the inappropriate behavior, lying to yourself. See, lying to yourself is the most disrespectful shit you can do to anybody. Because if I'm lying to myself and disrespecting myself, I can't respect Mel. I can't respect Tex, JV, I am, or Doc that's on the phone right now. Or Governor. I couldn't respect none of y'all because I'm not respecting myself. And what is respecting myself? Refusing to lie to myself. About what, Brother Muko? About anything.
Come on.
I'm gonna land right there. Thanks for letting me speak.
Yeah, no. I appreciate that passion, and you laid it out. And I'm gonna put this in you. Don't get off the stage yet, there, Brother Muko, because Libby Lou said, but is that white supremacy or a failure to plan? We can discuss this all day. Mexicans, Asians, and Indians have come here and are doing better than us. That is part of a plan there, Libby. I'll tell you that. Brother Muko, if you want to respond to that, you can. But it is part of the...
I will respond to that. And I'm glad that Libby made that. I'm glad. Thank you, Libby. I know you're crying in the face, but thank you if you could hear me. Thank you for making that point, because that was my next point. There's no such thing as a Mexican, African, or Chinese person, because they are people that exercise and practice justice. See how easy this is? See how easy it is when you're being honest with yourself? Because I can't, look, check it out. I have been to so-called different countries. And you know what? The
You know what they all have in common?
What?
They all got a ground and they all got a sky. Ain't none of them got no lines saying, oh, this is South Korea, this is North Korea. No, I've been there. I'm telling you. That is white supremacy. But see, this goes with being honest with yourself. And you're absolutely correct. White supremacy says that. White supremacy gives you 35 goddamn lies as race classifications when it's only 3. And they covering for white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? But if you operate in reality, okay? Look, my reality ain't different from none of y'all's. We all living in this same goddamn reality. We might be in different places, but that don't change your reality. Okay? The reality is that we still have to answer to a system, a group of individuals who classify themselves as white and is guaranteed to harm and mistreat anyone that they classify as non-white. Key words, they classify, not us, not me. I didn't classify me as black. That was a race classifier. But why aren't we talking about them? Why do we automatically shift them in the shadows when we're in a room talking about empowerment? When we don't hold nothing but individual power. We can't hold creative power because we don't create anything. I don't even create anything. Nobody creates anything. So we can't hold creative power. We give supreme power to the white supremacists. So what's left? You got individual power, the power to stop somebody from slapping you, and the power to slap somebody back. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be honest with that. Because if we're not honest with that, we'll walk around thinking we got something called spending power. Come on, y'all. Let's start being honest with ourselves and stop lying to ourselves.
Well, brother,
see, when you lie to yourself, when you're in a wet paper bag and you say, no, I'm in paradise. Guess what you're not getting out of? The wet paper bag. You know what I mean? Let's be honest with ourselves, y'all. And I'm seeing a lot of us doing that a lot more, but we got to do it more. Why? Because white supremacy still winning. I'm losing this too. I'm Brother Muko. I'm sitting up here telling you I'm a loser because white supremacy still exists. I love y'all.
We love you back, Brother Muko. You always keep it 100.
More right there all day.
You keep it 100. Thank you for that. I mean, boy, that's all the way down a whole nother lane that needs to be thoroughly reviewed. JV, your hand is up, sir. Go ahead. Let's hear what you got to say, sir. You had something to say.
Yeah, thank you for your patience. I just want to speak to something that was written in the chat on YouTube and what the brother DP said about financial literacy.
Okay.
There's studies out today that shows that a very marginal amount of people, I think it's 2.5% of people, are actually able to actualize their economics through financial literacy. So I think we have to debunk some of these myths. The fact that they say the black dollar bounces like one time, there's no empirical evidence on that. A lot of times we get information and we don't look at the source of the qualification. I actually think Claud Anderson, unfortunately, is one of the first that put that out about the black dollar bouncing. But financial literacy is not a vector that we could use. Look at the study. I'm looking forward to the study right now, but let's be careful what our strategies are because it might not work. To what Brother Tex was saying about politics, and I appreciate Claud Anderson for bringing that up in his book. I think he was spot on. We have to centralize our politics like everybody else does. I think during that time, though, that was a short-term goal with the expectation of a long-term strategy. But now we're seeing everybody closing in ranks, building their own communities, doing what they have to do. They leverage the black experience to make their way here. So I think we could regroup without being dismissive or having.
Can I tell you, alley-oop? I know what study you were talking about. I just want to tell you what it was so you can remember. Remember this study I think was on how white people actually don't save their money as much as black people do. I think that was one of the studies.
Yeah, but that's true. We save at like 60%. They save at 50%. But there's a separate study that shows financial literacy. Everybody says financial literacy is the way we could interact in economics. That's absolutely not true based on this study. I believe it. Peer reviewed. Nobody debunked it. There's a number, I think it's like 2.5% of people are able to actualize the economy through financial literacy. So I think we get a bunch of shit and throwing it at the wall. I think we have to be very careful. But to Claude Anderson's point about politics, I think that's spot on. Giving him his credit. I just think he's multitasking. He's saying we have to be insular with politics, but we have to pick ourselves up by the bootstrap. I think we have to be careful, and I think he is open to review. That's what I think.
Yeah. God, yes, he's open. He's open for critique like anybody. And I'll say this, even on that financial literacy thing, and we're going to wrap it up pretty soon, y'all. But here's the thing. If so many Black Americans they don't know how to save, they don't know how to write a check, they don't know how to not have to use check cashing places because they don't know how to keep their bank account together. If lack of financial literacy is the problem, then I don't give a damn where financial literacy comes in on the scale. If all we need is some financial literacy coming out of middle school, high school, and into college, and it'll help us to save more and keep our credit together and blase scoop to fill. If that's what we need, then damn it, let's have it. I don't care if it's higher, more than white people do it, less than white Mexicans, whatever. If we're lacking that, if we don't have the financial literacy to hold our own shit together, and we need that, then give it up one time. Go ahead, Gerald. What was you saying?
I got to go soon. I'm sorry, Texwell and D.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say to you, Rick, when it comes to that last part, I was in a room the other night, and I've heard this from many people in the industry. I used to know a lot of people that worked, and there was a person in the room tonight with GV and I, at this time it was really late. A lot of people had left them, but she had been in business for over 10 years. She had dealt with loans. She had approved loans, signed off on loans, and one of the things she recognized, and there's even white, loan officers who acknowledge this in a minute and talk right on these new.
Jared, Jared, you're saying something, but there's some distortion and disruption in your line. Can you go down and come right back up? Because what I could hear you're saying is essential. Go down and come right back up. Go down and come right back up.
What about? Am I good now? Am I good now?
Try it now. What were you saying about the lady said something about some loans? Because even the YouTube street said it's hard to hear you.
Okay, is it good now?
Yes, it is. Real good right there.
Okay. All right. Because I was I had my phone tucked a little bit. So this lady, she worked in the industry for I forgot her name. I'm so sorry.
That's
her name, but she worked in more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And she signed off on loans. She did loan approvals.
Mm-hmm.
She for hundreds of thousands of dollars, she signed off on $500,000 loans. These were from Indian people, Asian people, capital loans. Now, the answer would be to the question is, if it's not financial literacy, then what is it? It's access to capital.
Ooh.
You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to make money. You do now have some basic addition and subtraction, but you don't have to be a genius.
Mm-hmm.
You need access to capital and the ability to create a sound business, and you need a substantial amount of money to start.
Okay,
go ahead. We've been, and I'm not taking this away, but the significant part of why I brought her up was that she had mentioned that she'd have to call people. This was something significant that she noticed, and that's why she kind of gravitates towards what JV says. She had noticed that when in her work, she would have to call people who would frequently default on their loans. And she said it was a majority of white people. And she said when she had to call these people, she tried to explain to them how they're damaging their credit. A lot of them would have a cavalier attitude, and a lot of them would laugh. And they would say, "You don't know what you're talking about." And some of them would have 4 or 5 defaults, 3 bankruptcies, and they know, and they were confident, and they would continue to get approved, and they were confident that they would continue to get approved. And they were right, because she would see these people come back again. She would see names again, and she would see how these people would routinely be approved for new loans in other locations.
Right.
Now, this is discriminatory practice. This is literally giving access to capital to people who are perceived to be doing better and managing their money better, but they're simply just giving more chances. And people are looking the other way. So I just want to be clear on that. Wow. Sometimes we look down on ourselves, but what we are doing, we're strong people, we're good people, but it is being rigged. We need to find a way to deal with these disruptors.
I know that's right. Look, you know what, Gerald? See, thank you for sharing that. And here's the thing, and what you when you were talking, it made me think. I don't know if JV said it or Brother Muko said it. Somebody said it. Might could have been Dr. Nikki said it. But here's what we're talking about this vocabulary, because Gerald, you made the clear distinction. It may not be financial literacy, but it's certainly access, lack of access. You're absolutely right. And you know what? If I were teaching a financial literacy class to some eighth graders, lack of access would be a chapter that we would be discussing. That would be one module that we would go over. Why Black America?
75% in the book.
Well, you understand? And so lack of access is an issue. What do we have to do to overcome lack of access? And once you get access, how do you maintain it and monetize on top of it and multiply it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? These are things we need to know. So whether financial literacy under that generic term plays a significant global or national role in the lives of Black Americans or not, it will certainly play a major role in our individual lives for us to do what we need to do to sustain and meet our goals and objectives. So here's what we got right now. We got Tex, you got your hand up. DP, you got your hand up. Dr. Nikki's still on the stage. Tatiana Harris said white privilege. Absolutely. That's how they keep getting ready to, that's how they keep being able to get loan after loan after loan, Jera, because of white privilege. Let me reset the room real quick, because then we are going to be cutting up out of here pretty soon. Just to reset the room, on YouTube, the I've got on here, even on the image, the Freedmen's Bank Forum 2023 edition. We had I ran a couple clips at the beginning where you got our vice president talking about, she made the statement that Black Americans are fearful. Oh, they're so afraid. They're afraid, y'all. They're afraid to go and get a loan from the bank. Ooh, they just scared. When the truth of the matter is they're not afraid. Y'all keep running that racism on them and we can't get these loans. And you're doing it on purpose. Then we also ran a clip where Maxine Waters came up and she spoke the truth about what the Freedmen's Bank, what time it was historically. Okay. But then she proceeded to she proceeded to all lives matter, the situation, and all races matter, and minorities, the situation, instead of saying Black Americans. So it's all just one big bunk. The bottom line, and then of course they definitely had to, at this forum, from what I was watching on the clips, I mean, there's just a all hail to the Hispanics and everything they're trying to do. And you know, so we got to get on top of shit, y'all, period, point, damn blank. So here's what we're going to do. Brother Muko's got his hand up. Tex, you got your hand up. Miss T has just joined the stage. We're going to hear from you guys. And then we're going to wrap the show. We've been up here now a little bit over 3 hours. Hate to be that long on here. Tatiana in YouTube is saying Waters always does that. Can't stand her. I agree with you, Tatiana. No doubt. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Replay Gang, leave a comment. You don't want to hear from you. Y'all hit the like button. Please share the space. Share the YouTube. I'm not going to get rich overnight if you subscribe. We just want to get this in the algorithm and keep the conversation going. So Tex, we're going to hear from you. DP, we're going to hear from you. Brother Muko, and then Miss T. In that order. What's going on, Tex?
Yes. Okay. Again, we're brushing past the politics when we say white supremacy and the system is designed against us, because white supremacy is a system of institutions that work to fulfill their policy, which is white first. So white supremacy without the institutions would not be it wouldn't have any effect on us. They operate through a system of institutions and individuals in those institutions. And so it is not that the system is designed against us. The system is designed against any person or group who does not know how to pull the levers. If you playing a pinball machine, if y'all can remember pinball machines, maybe you don't, but a pinball machine, you pull the lever, the metal ball comes up into the machine and it comes down and you whack it with the little levers. But you also know after a couple of attempts You got to rock that machine sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And black people are not rocking that machine.
Right.
All we do is pull the lever, the metal ball comes out, and then we stand with our hands on our hips and watch the ball go back into the hole. You can't blame the machine, which is the system of white supremacy, the pinball machine of white supremacy, if you let the ball go back down in the hole and you ain't rocking that system. And the way you rock that system is not by pulling a lever at election time, but applying pressure to that system for the whole cycle.
24/9.
So you can't blame that system. You cannot blame the white supremacist system if you're playing in that system game goofy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the system. And a system can be mastered. A system can be defeated.
Mm-hmm.
It can be changed. It can be improved on. But if you're just pulling the ball, the metal ball comes out and you stand there and watch it fall into the hole, you can't blame that system. And so, like somebody said, why is it that other ethnicities can come here and succeed?
Mm-hmm.
Because the minute they hit the tarmac, they organize.
Mm.
If you Google African organizations right now, you're going to see a whole list on Google. I challenge you to do it. Hundreds of organizations, not based on melanin, not based on people of color, but based on national origin. The Ghanaian Association of this and that, the Malayan people for this and that, the Haitian Uplift this and that. You're going to see a whole lot of organizations. Now, let me ask you a question before I get off the mic. Name me one institution that advocates for Black Americans, and I'll land my mic.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and land, because that's an easy question. Easy question. Nobody. Nobody.
I called all y'all. Much love. I'm getting up out of here, yo. My bad.
We appreciate you.
I
We appreciate you.
just point out because I've been waiting for.
I'll listen. My bad.
Go ahead, DP.
Since the last time the dog has spoke, it's another thing we have to also pay attention to. Dr. Claud Anderson's his biggest students and the most impactful students to ever come, I feel like in this era, has been the new Black media. Every last one of them guys, from Jason Black to the Professional Truth to Tariq Nasheed, like now the including Boyce Watkins, like they have it. Can't nobody, if you don't want to say Boyce had been a ship changer in this era, you can't say that big three wasn't. The Black media is they push the ideology of PowerNomics to the 10th power, and they have made the whole community, like they created this Black empowerment community. If you ask me, they've changed the politics, they've changed the words behind the president, the vice president, and everybody. Like everybody is we're dictating the terms now through the Black media. So I kind of wanted to get that. I had a lot more to say, but
sure. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That's an interesting perspective to view it from. And to be honest with you, DP, I can't disagree with you, Brother Muko. You got it. What's up?
Damn, y'all hit on so many good facts. But I just want to. Wow, I actually lost my train of thought.
That's okay. I know tech spit some boy. Text boy.
You're actually right. The new Black media has changed. But my one question is, what other group of individuals, group of people, do you know that actually fight for pictures of the individuals who enslaved their ancestors? And I'll wait for that. I'll land right there too.
None. And wait, hold on. No, wait a minute. None, Brother Muko. And if there was ever a fight, it would have been when the Asians, was it Chinese, Japanese, when they were interned here, but now they got their reparations. So they ain't fighting no more for it. You understand? So good question. Good damn question. Jared, I know you had jumped in talking about you was ready to cut up out of here. Thank you so much for pulling up. Appreciate you. Was there something else you wanted to contribute before you left?
No, it's so crazy. I'm here racing to where I gotta go. I'm late. I'm like, I can't get off the phone. Like, I can't stop listening to y'all, man. Y'all killing me, man. Y'all gonna make me late.
Space is powerful, no doubt. Yeah, Tatiana said it's the Japanese that were interned. And so, they're not asking for the pictures no more of who enslaved them, Brother Muko, because they got their reparations. They say, hey, look, we'll give you the money, quit asking the question. And boom, apparently it's worked. Because it's just us. We're fighting Harvard. We're fighting Yale. That's a case getting ready to be up in front of the Supreme Court behind that. So come on with it.
Yeah, like we actually fight for pictures about our slave masters that's on them, and we ain't even fighting to change it.
Well,
and I haven't heard anybody bring up the Jews and the Hollywood and how they got their reparations.
Right. Well,
and I think that's another
a whole nother space, baby. It's a whole nother
space. It's an example of kind of what what's going on here and how we, how they took over politics. They never had the numbers to pull the lever, and they spent more money on both sides of the political spectrum. When we talk about Republican and Democrat at the last election, about $6.5 billion apiece. So that's where I see we kind of, and they didn't take them 100 years to get to that, to get to that type of power. So. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, no, thank you. Everybody on the panel has been hot tonight. I ain't gonna lie about it. Tex bringing that Texas tea. Thank you. Dr. Dickey spitting that academia. Holla. Miss T, we got you on the mic. Your hand is up. What's up, girl?
Hey, girl.
Hey.
And what's up to everybody in the room? Happy Saturday. And everybody has pretty much said everything. I just wanted to reiterate, it's not about financial literacy. We have people coming to America who don't know shit. They don't even know the language, but they are being a extreme success because they had access.
Yep.
They have access to capital. They have access to resources. They have access. So it's not about financial literacy at all.
Right.
These people they don't even know the denomination of the American dollar.
But they do come over with skills and trade.
Right. And here's the thing. And Ms. T, thanks for bringing it, because you're right. It is not about financial literacy for them, but for us, because for us, it is. Because when we do, and I think Brother Muko, I might have been JV, made the point about the.
But we don't have the access, Mel.
No.
We just don't.
Right. We don't. That's very true. And that's the part that's part of the lesson that should be taught in an organized financial literacy course. Also, because we need to understand that if you do get your hand on a credit card, don't be a trick. Don't be a simp. Work it out. And here's how this can impact you positively or negatively. The utilization rate, this and that, a lot of stuff we don't know. And they don't care if we don't know it or not. We don't know how to turn down a card if it has a annual, a high dollar ass annual fee, $150 just to have this card a year. Don't nobody want that card. So yeah, we do need to have that because we're not being offered that. That economic downturn in 2008 impacted so many Black Americans because those are the ones that were being offered subprime mortgages. Here's the question. A financially literate Black American may have said, you know what? I don't need this subprime shit. My credit's 800. My credit's, and this is not feasible, my credit's 2,000. I don't need a subprime loan, but because I'm financially illiterate, I'm going to take a subprime because I don't have any confidence. I don't know what, I don't know these things.
Are you familiar with Karen Hunter?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Jump in, Joe.
Misty, I got you. Listen, what I was going to say to that is it, and this is something I picked up from JV, is it really realistic for every single Black person to be an economist? Is it realistic for every Black person, because we get mistreated at the doctor's office, do we now all need to get our doctorates and learn how to be a medical professional?
Nope.
Do we all need to become lawyers?
No, but we can support each other in the few that
Hold on a minute. What I'm saying is that, like, there's a narrative, and I hope people get it. Like, I hope there's going to be a snap one day and a wake up call to where the consciousness kind of wakes up to saying, you're not less than, you're not worse off.
Right.
These people aren't that smart.
Right.
They're not that smart. They have hookups.
Right.
They have aunties and uncles that work in the bank that are going to do all the work for them. They're going to let them pass when they're not supposed to.
Right.
They're going to do these things. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be intelligent and we shouldn't, work to improve our intelligence. But the reality is that in any group of people, Black, white, whatever, you're always going to have a small portion of that group have less information, and a portion of that group have less information, and a portion of that group have more information, right?
But acting and working as a community and trusting each other, I support that kind of talk because we're in a hostile environment in which when we try to work together, we literally have the entire power of the American media, the propaganda machine in America say divide, divide, divide,
Right.
fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck it up. and there has to be an answer to this divisive nature of these divisive actions that they're committing against us.
Right.
There has to be an answer to that.
Right.
If there's no defense for it, essentially what we're doing is, right, we're saying, imagine, this is an example I used to give on this app. Imagine two battleships, right, pulling up, and one battleship pulling up on the other ship, and they just start dumping on the other battleship, right? They start boom, 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 throwing cannons, right? They're putting holes all in the other battleship. The captain of the battleship that's shooting says, hey, they get out and make an announcement, say, hey, we just want to let you know that you have holes in your ship and you need to repair yourself. Meanwhile, you know, let's say I'll just say black and white battleship, right? The black battleship is like, you know what? That ship is right. We need to repair these holes in our ship. And meanwhile, they're still shooting at you, right? The white battleship is still shooting at the black battleship. And the black battleship is now arguing amongst themselves. They're saying, hey, we need to fix the holes in our ship. And some are saying, no, we need to take that ship out before we fix these holes because they're going to keep poking holes in the ship. No, we need to fix our own ship before we can battle them. No, they are shooting at us,
Right.
and we are going to go sinking into the ground. If we don't stop them from shooting, then guess what? We're gonna sink. And some people are worried about, oh, we got to repair ourselves. No, I get it. You do need to repair yourself to a degree, but while you're under attack, you need to subdue the enemy, and you need to make sure. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about preventing them, setting up a defense, and with some kind of way prevent them from continuously stop these malicious attacks.
Right. You know what? You know, Gerald, I tell you what, and thank you for saying what you said. And I think this, you said this, and it made me think about Brother Muko's question. How many people are still looking for, fighting for pictures of their former oppressors or their current oppressor? Okay. There's a unique thing about Black Americans. There's multiple unique things about us. But here's one thing with your statement that made me think that for Black Americans, we're having multiple conversations at the same effing time. Because while we're trying to come up with the group perspective and get us all buying into the group perspective and understanding what, who's in the group and who shouldn't be in the mom group based on these behavior patterns, appropriate, inappropriate behaviors. While we're giving all that overview and all this and that, we still got to figure out, okay, do I get this credit card? Do I go to school here? Do I continue to shop at this Hispanic people or this Asian man over here? Cause there ain't no Black beauty shops over here and the gas prices are high and I got to drive 100 miles of this and that. It's so many freaking pieces that we have to process just to get to the fucking grocery store because we live in a food desert and ain't got transportation. That's the unique piece about Black Americans. Our mind is constantly racing because we're constantly processing information all the freaking time.
Racism attacks from all sides. It attacks from all sides, from every angle, from every direction. Right. And so, but it's crucial and it's important to understand that you are under attack, and it's crucial and important to understand whenever you build something, simultaneously, we must be creating a way to protect it as well. Because to not look at protection anymore is very dangerous.
No, we have to look at it. That is a conversation. But while we're in the process of doing that, we also have to have other conversations, because even though Ms. T came up here and said, hey, financial literacy is not the case. Financial literacy is, and I'm going to come back to you, Ms. T. Financial literacy is not the issue when it comes to these immigrants who are coming over here and getting the $9,000 a month, who are getting the food stamps, who are getting the this, getting the that, getting the this, getting the car loans. They don't have a credit score, so their shit's not being evaluated when they go to get new vehicles. But they driving. Okay, I saw my YouTube channel where they got a deal out, I think it's in Ohio or whatever, where the people, the immigrants get to stay in their new home for 5 years and don't have to start making payments until after 5 years. So what they're doing is waiting until 4 years, and then they sell the property, they get the proceeds off of that, buy a new one under the same thing, and they're generating wealth for themselves. So does financial literacy, the way we need as Black Americans, the way we need financial literacy, is it the same? No, but we need financial literacy even now while we're fighting it. Because if we say, hey, we need politicians, how the hell are we going to support a politician if our own credit card don't work? There's so many pieces that are constantly in motion. It's a lot. It's just not a one stop, do it one day and it's a done situation.
I got to say that it's a very dangerous thing to convince Black people that you're somehow deficient. I understand that there are things that we do need, as any other community needs, but all of us are not going to be, masterful mathematicians and going to be masterful financial advisors. It's just not going to happen that way.
Let me say this real quick, because for some reason there seems to be this thing about this financial literacy piece, and I agree with you, Jared. We don't have to be mathematicians as long as we know how to balance our bank accounts, as long as we know how the credit score game works, so that because we think, oh, I got a credit card, I haven't used it in a million years, and then you go and max that son of a gun out, and then you look at your credit score and all of a sudden your shit is impacted. Okay, because we didn't know about the utilization rate, or we didn't know about the annual this or the this or the that. So financial literacy in terms of our ability to be literate, we're not all going to be mathematicians. We're not going to be the Janet Yellens or whatever her name is. We're not going to be that. But if we're banking at a damn using a Cash App card for our bank, or using a buy here, pay here, whatever the hell you call that shit, if that's what we're using as opposed to a normal savings and loan, credit union, bank, blah, 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 then we've got some financial literacy that needs to happen. So go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry.
I get what you're saying. I just want to say this. So the danger in that is that when we do that, right, and we say, hey, this is the you need to get basically almost like a I don't know, aptitude test, but it's just like a test where you don't get this first, then therefore you're not worthy of this, right? And so hold on one second. Yeah. And I just want to say that the majority of white people, and as you heard the ratios before, actually don't even save as much as Black people do. And I found that data shocking too, because it actually woke me up to something. It told me that, we don't have many bad habits as people claim we do. And it is a narrative in America to make it seem as if you're just simply not doing enough to change your situation, when in fact there's so many financially illiterate white people, and they are pushed and mosey along by their white counterparts in financial institutions and places of business. They're helped, they're coached, they are assisted, and they don't have to learn, and they don't have to come.
They're bailed out. You didn't forget.
They get bailed out when they fail at multiple bad businesses. So what I'm saying is that I think a higher focus in financial literacy would be financial access. And I just don't think that's bad saying that, because what it does is it sets the tone and says, hey, guess what? These people are actually more financially illiterate than us.
But the thing is, Jera, and I agree with you. I agree with you, Jera. Wait, hold on, Jera. I agree with you, sir. I agree. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But here's the thing. You're absolutely right. I don't disagree with a damn thing you said at all, Jerry. You're correct. The thing is,
I disagree with one thing.
I'm going to say this. Hold on. I want to say this part, because if you say, well, instead of focusing on literacy, focus on access. Well, here's the thing.
I didn't say instead of.
I know. Listen, I know this is me. I know. You're saying that there's more levels of importance and more levels that need to be focused on other than just the financial literacy. And you're right. Access is an issue. And the problem with access is, on a larger scale, is we don't have it. And we're not in control of getting it. And so the one way we're declined it is even when we have the best, and we've executed the best financial literacy practices in our daily lives. Our credit scores are good. We're not late on shit. We've paid this. We don't have a bankruptcy with this, da, 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 da. Our shit is stellar, and we still can't get access. So yes, is access key? Indeed. But what's going to get us access straight off the top? That is having our financial shit together.
Well,
go ahead, Tex.
But these immigrants didn't have to have their shit
but Miss T,
together.
that's all. But I know, but see, that's my thing.
16
Wait a minute, hold on, y'all, because and listen, I agree, and I think that's a whole nother space. You're right, Miss T. The immigrants, whatever they get, it doesn't matter because they're getting the whole pass. They're getting the pass our asses should be getting. They're getting our reparations. And they don't have to qualify shit. They don't have to go to the OMB and decide what race they're going to be called and this and that. They don't got none of them fucking problems. They just pull up and they got it. They're getting a check. Whereas we're in here still trying to figure out what's the most appropriate name. Why do we even have to make that choice? It's all of that. We're getting the Freedmen's Bank with an elected official walking on the stage, spitting what the actual historical meaning of the bank was for and its purpose, and it's still being misappropriated today. So no, the immigrants don't have to have any financial literacy. You're absolutely right. They got all the access. We don't get any. Our access is limited and racially infused. And some of us, if they did open the door and said, all you got to do is meet the standard because we don't have the financial literacy, we ain't got our shit together then. So there's that circular argument that still has to be.
Should we be forcing the government to give us what they're giving them, erase all of our credit, and also approve all of our loans? Because they have been told, the banks, excuse me, y'all, the banks have been told to not deny these immigrants based on their immigration status.
Right.
So what else are they approving their loans on? They don't have a credit history.
Right.
They don't have a year on the job.
Right.
As some people have said, they come here with skills. So why are we being discriminated against as Americans? Now, we're the only ones because black people get a chance. I mean, white people get a chance over and over and over again, as someone has already said. It does not matter to them to file a bankruptcy. That's nothing.
Okay, so let me jump in, Ms. T.
It's the kiss of
let me
death.
jump in. Wait.
It's really true.
Right.
We're saying that these people are getting these things that we are not. Let's demand it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Hold on. Let me say this, y'all, because we're about to wrap this space real quick. But here is the thing.
And I'd like to chime in too, please.
Okay, yes. Here's the thing. Miss T, based on what you're saying, one, that's a whole nother space. And two, that leads over to what Tex has been saying. And a couple other people have said here. This is where the political piece falls in, which we don't have. So we're talking about financial literacy and the fact that it's important, yes, but that's not germane to the topic today. All right, but to address your concern,
I think we have the power.
Wait.
Taking to the street.
Well, hold on just a minute. That's
$4 trillion in spending that we do on our
okay,
bullshit.
wait. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Wait a minute, y'all. Hold on. Here's the thing, because we're gonna wrap up because we could go. We can really go, and then plus Dr. Nikki wants to say something.
I know we just trying to take your space somewhere else. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay because it really is. It's in the mix. But the point is you're absolutely right. I talked about it in the last space about the immigrants and them getting everything, and they don't have to qualify for shit. They're qualified because they're an immigrant. We know that. We know that game. All right. And for us, if we still, those of us who are working and this and that and 2/3 and while we're still trying to fight on the big stage and still go do life as a daily person, we still got to have our credit scores right. We still got to pay our bills on time. We still got to meet that criteria if we want to buy a new car and this and 2/3. So there's multiple fights, multiple pieces. Dr. Nikki, go ahead. Let's chime in. Let's hear what you got to say. And then I got DJ up here, and then we'll close out after him. Oh, and then Tex and Deep, everybody. Go ahead, Dr. Nikki.
All right, much love.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Go ahead, Doctor. Go ahead, Dr. Nikki.
Well, first of all, Mel, thank you for having me come up on your panel. I am truly humbled. I'm also humbled to be in the presence of, Black men who actually have something on their minds and, are exercising Black manhood at its finest. So I appreciate this demonstration. But I wanted to say two things. One, Carter G. Woodson said this a very long time ago in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. It was published in 1933. He said, it is through leadership, poor leadership, that got us into the problems that we're in. So it's going to take service to get ourselves out. So he said that in a chapter titled Servants Over Leadership, because everybody wants to be a leader and everybody wants to be the person who's in charge. But in order to lead me, you have to show me that you can do the work too.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I wanted to say is that the Wu-Tang Clan had a song that is very, very important, because I am a hip hop head. And the song was Cream. It said, cash rules everything around me. It didn't say that it rules me. So my uncle used to tell me, I say that because my uncle used to tell me, he said, baby, it ain't about how much money I have. It's about what I have access to. So I wanted to leave you all with those points, because I wanted to say that, most of the things that I have said already on the panel, you all have done a great job of reiterating my points, as well as, giving me some things to think about and reconsider. So, financial literacy is at the crux of everything that impacts Black people, along with systemic racism. And accessibility is part of financial literacy. So I said that to say, you got to tackle one thing at a time, and, not necessarily try to, parse out one part of something when we need to attack the entire entity. Wow. So it's all points of financial literacy. And it needs to begin at home, because I don't know about you all, but my grandmother didn't put her money in the bank. Her bank was a sock up under her mattress. So, if that was the way, I learned about saving money, then that means I'm also financially illiterate. Now, I'm not that now, but I'm talking about as a child, that's what I saw.
Absolutely.
So I used to hide my money too. Mm-hmm. So, financial illiteracy presents itself in a number of forms. So was she able to save money? Yes. But as a citizen of the United States, she could not exercise her power because there was no account of where her money went, and it wasn't being tracked.
Right.
So we have to be mindful of all of these things and give credit to what our elders tried to teach us and tried to model to us that was good. Mm-hmm. It speaks to our morals and values and discipline. And we need to let those things be at the center of how we moving forward. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you all so much for having me up. And again, y'all have blessed my soul today. So thank you so much, each and every last one of you. Look at how beautifully Black we are. I love it.
Ain't that it? Thank you so much, Doctor. Appreciate you. Thanks for pulling up, and you're welcome anytime. Okay, so DJ, you got your hand up. Go ahead. You got the mic.
Thank you so much, Sister Mel Cruz.
Welcome,
shout out
baby.
to Dr. DeGord. I'm like, I know I hear her voice, but where's she at in the room? I'm looking around. I don't see her face. No.
Yeah, that's Dr. Nikki. Yeah, on YouTube she was. Mm-hmm.
For sure. Shout out to the good doctor. You know what I mean? Spitting the reparations bar. So just to lighten up with what y'all was just saying at the end. So shout out to News Title. We done broke these stories 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. We have our folks that work in these social buildings, social services, social security, housing, whatever you want to call it. Government agencies, these immigrants, aka the illegal aliens, keyword illegal, you cross the border illegal, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They are getting anywhere between $2,800 every 2 weeks to now reported $7,000 a month in Cali, up to $9,000 a month in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So where's this money coming from if we don't physically see it? So again, you gotta holler at your postmaster, homie, you know what I'm saying? Your OG that delivered the mail for 20, 30 years. They see the checks right up front. Right. I asked my OGs, boom, 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 what's going on? Da-da-da-da. Oh yeah, we see them checks. Mm-hmm. They be up to 5. Thing we figured out too is that, these so-called, I guess you want to call it like immigrant welfare or whatever, like these checks,
they also are secretly getting funded. Like you said, well, hey, Juan, you just got here. How the hell you get this $100,000 GMC truck?
Right.
This shit don't add up. You know what I mean?
Right.
They are funding these people through gift cards, yo.
Right. Well, they're getting reloadable debit cards when they come into the country. So no matter where the hell they are, all they do is just dial the number in and boom, make a deposit on that ass. So we're definitely we're at a disadvantage. There is no doubt about it. And in order for us to pull it all together, when we talk about Dr. Claud Anderson's book, this is where the assembly comes together, where the assembling of like-minded individuals comes together. And I'll say this, in this space today, we've had some people, Dr. Nikki is one of them, and JV, who are like, they were holding Dr. Claud Anderson's ass to the carpet. Okay. And which they have every right to do because they're Black Americans and they're looking at, well, hey, Dr. Claud, this is what we feel about what you're saying. And look, okay, that's fine. You put that shit to the test. From my view, their pressing of Dr. Claud Anderson and his issue, it met the standard. It didn't burn up in the fire. It wasn't consumed by the fire. It was tried by fire. And in my view, he still comes out a winner. Claud Anderson, in my view, is giving us the tools in which, Dr. Nikki said, folks show. He's giving us the tools from his perspective. Okay. But it's not the only perspective. And I want to really emphasize that because Dr. Nick, if you're still in the audience, I appreciate you. I appreciate your pushback, and I appreciate JV's pushback because it stops us from being, just what they call it, goats, or stops us from being get along folk. All right, well, whatever you say, because that's not the case. So anyway, I lost my train of thought there, letting Joe the victim up. Joe, I don't know. I hope you're not I've never heard you speak before, Joe, so I don't really know where you're from. You want to jump in real quick? Go ahead. Let's see what you got to say, sir. Joe. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, y'all, the bottom line is we got to keep pushing forward. We got to keep pressing this. We got this information from Dr. Claud Anderson. I'm not going to stop reading this information. I want to know what he's talking about. I want to know what his thoughts are. I want to gain some perspective. I've learned some things as a result of reading his book, and I've learned some things as a result of reading other people's books. So we're going to stay in this game. That's what we're going to do. Let's see. DP, go ahead. You got it. Then Tex, we're going to hear from you, and then we're going to wrap the space up. Go ahead, DP. You got it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I'm close out with this. I feel like we like reparations isn't going to be given to us just outright.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're going to have to show power and how we achieve our efforts. I feel like as Black Americans, like, yeah, we don't get access from society when it comes to money, but if we really can figure out how to change the course, like keep the code, we got $4 or $5 trillion of spending income, which equates to almost like top every other country except for maybe the top 16 countries in the world. So we can really generate any type of capital that we want to once we get our financial literacy in order, and then we'll be armed to really go to battle.
Yeah.
Financial.
No doubt about it. No doubt. And I will say this too. I do appreciate Dr. Nikki coming through and making her last statement about financial literacy. It's all that. It's all that and more. As I'm adding and more part to it, but it's all that and more. So financial literacy is important, and in the various stages and aspects and pieces of it. Thank you for that, DP. Tex with the Texas T. Go ahead. You got it, sir. What's up?
Texas T from the great state of New Jersey.
There it is.
I'm up south.
All right.
Appreciate you, sister Mel. I think all roads lead to pressurize weaponize agenda-based Black American politics. Because every problem that we stated here can be remedied through that strategy. If we need financial literacy, we can't depend on our grandma to show us because most of our grandmothers didn't have any financial literacy. The only way to ensure that you're going to learn anything is if you mandate it in the public school system that you're paying for. And that comes from weaponizing your politics to control your local education system. Institutions such as rite of passage programs that can convey these ideas to our children. And an army of financial literacy warriors that can teach 100 or 1,000 people. Politics is the key to all of this. We don't have $3 trillion in spending power. We have a $3 trillion budget. That $3 trillion is outlaid on necessities. We are the most frugal ethnic group in America.
Right.
That $3 trillion is not money that we can invest, splurge, or even save. That $3 trillion is paying your rent, your mortgage, your food bill, your transportation bill, and so on and
Operating
so forth. So
expenses.
that's not power.
Right.
Yeah, that's not power. That is just our budget. It's a budget. And we are the most frugal group in America. So these people, these illegal immigrants, they're getting the access that we're speaking of because
made Louis Vuitton CEO the richest man on earth.
Yeah, but again, brother, you can pull out anecdotal evidence of Black people doing stupid things with their money. I know a few of I got a nephew who has a wall of Nike. I've never owned a Nike in my life, and I'm never going to buy one. But you can pull out that anecdotal evidence. But as an aggregate group, I'm speaking of Black people are frugal, and we're spending, and we have a budget that we stick to. Okay, so those people that we speak of, these immigrants, they have access that we spoke of because it's a policy that Joe Biden is supporting because he wants to supplant us.
Right.
So they don't have to lift a finger to get that access.
Right.
It's part of the Democrat strategy to undermine our politics and undermine us as a group. But we have to put ourselves in a position, I said before, to put the dog Joe Biden on a leash and train him to stop sitting in our house.
Right.
And train him to shit on the paper. We got to paper train him. We got to dog walk the Democrats. If we dog walk the Democrats by using a strategy such as down ballot Democrat, we'll be going to the voting booth and we don't pick any presidential candidate. Or if you want to pick Trump, I don't care. As long as Biden don't win, we'll be training that dog to behave himself, to stop eating up our furniture. And that's what it's going to take. When he has no respect for us.
Right.
He's going to have a Freedmen banking bureau, banking forum, and it's not about Freedmen. That's disrespect.
It's very much so disrespect. It's very, and not to cut you off, Texas T. And I am about to wrap this space up real quick, y'all. But here's the thing: it's very much so disrespectful to actually bring a woman who's been in the game for so long, Maxine Waters, and actually allow her to speak the historical truth of the Freedmen Bank and why it was created, and whole 9 yards, and then proceed to say how it's not going to work. And the reinvigoration of the Freedmen Bank now is not going to be for the purposes for which it was initially intended. That's where it becomes significantly disrespectful. So
Biden is Willy Wonka, and
we need to do a campaign against Maxine.
Yeah, Biden is Willy Wonka, and Maxine Waters is one of his Oompa Loompas.
Well, there you go.
So she's going to do what she's going to. All of them people in that group was his Oompa Loompas. All those people, all the Black CBC is Oompa Loompas.
Right.
Congressional Black Oompa Loompa Congress. And so we, like you said, we got to primary all these Democrats.
Right.
First and foremost, we have to organize our people, a critical mass of our people, to do politics this way. Start throwing out some of these bums, right? And when we organize a critical mass of Black people to do these politics, these grown-up politics, you're going to see politicians falling over themselves trying to adapt that agenda. You're going to see the seas, the waters opening. You're going to see walls coming down. You're going to see that access. They're going to say, here, this is the way to get the access. Right here, we got y'all. Right. They're going to have access for you. You're going to get this $9,000 a month check.
Well, I'm going to do this.
All roads lead to politics. All roads lead to politics.
Totally agree.
People keep sashaying past the politics.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you. You're absolutely correct. And while we're talking about politics, there'll be some other shit we got to talk about as well. And that's the uniqueness of the Black Americans experience. The fact that we don't have the privilege of only having to fight a little something, okay? Or maybe two little somethings. Everything is a battle. A Black woman, her hair, that's a battle. That's not only a battle between Black women and all of society. Sometimes that's a battle between us and each other. Because I wear my hair natural and another woman don't wear her hair natural. So I would never wear my hair like that. Well, I would. Well, I wouldn't. And so all of that. So we are a unique people. But let me do this. We covered Chapter 2, Dr. Claud Anderson, PowerNomics, National Plan to Empower Black America, the keys to empowerment. We covered out-of-the-box thinking, distorted perspectives. We talked about empowerment mode and empowerment culture. We also talked about some very key positive pieces of being a Black American, group vision, and we talked about a lot. So when we come back again on the next time, please follow me here on Twitter, y'all. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. These book discussions are pop up, and that's for show. But to further on in the conversation, we're going to be talking about ethno-aggregation, vertical integration, and I think his name is the plumber. He kind of alluded to that earlier. So there's still a lot to go through. We're just going to get into it. Chapter 3 is talking about building competitive communities. Dr. Claud Anderson has a plan, but before he just spits the plan, he's making sure we understand who the players in the game are. And he's giving us some hard pills to swallow. So that's it. That is the podcast. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. And until next time, y'all, we will see ya when we see you. Welcome to the Only Male Cruz Show, the We Own Your Head podcast. Discussing topics that make you say, how and where can we improve as a society? From a Black American's perspective. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Catch this live, be ready to speak. This is a call-in show. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Let's go to work.